live.
Try not to cough too much, man.
Yeah, okay. You'll be fine. Oh, you know what? I do need to just turn my webcam on. Hey everyone, I can hear you. I know you can't see me. That is my fault, and I will fix that. The one thing I forgot to do was this. I say I will fix it. Give me uno momento, everyone. I promise. I know what I'm doing sometimes. Oh, we're back. I'm functioning again. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, you should be able to see me now. If you can hear me loud and clear, let me know in the chat. And if you can see me loud and clear now, hopefully, let me know in the chat. And we should have a good little night here, talking southern snow, southern ice, historic Gulf Coast snow, and let alone the I-85 corridor still cannot get anything of note, at least where I live in Charlotte. We can manage about 1/4 of an inch of freezing rain. That seems to be all that we can do. But New Orleans, we'll talk about that. It's going to get pretty crazy. Also, I have with me the one and only Mitch Weather. Mitch, would you like to talk a little bit?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Happy to be here. Hopefully, you can hear me pretty clear. It's probably not going to be quite as crisp as Gerald's voice, but happy to be here. And me and Gerald certainly have been looking forward to this moment where we could break down some winter weather for our neck of the woods for a while now. So happy to be here.
Yeah, we are super stoked. And by the way, we were troubleshooting this about 3 seconds ago, so that's why my webcam was not on when we started. I completely forgot to do that part, but that's okay. We're back. We're good. Everyone, let me know if you can hear Mitch as well in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. All the fun things. Sounds like everyone's saying, "Hey, Mitch," so that's a good sign. And I think we're gonna have a good time tonight. Mitch, how are you feeling? Are you excited, nervous, scared? What are your kind of feelings for your neck of the woods in Columbia?
Hey, I'm pretty excited. It was it was pretty depressing for most of the weekend, but seems like we're pulling a last second comeback. So I think that's why we're here. So I'm pretty excited. But at the same time, it's a little limited. Don't want to get disappointed again, but I think it's kind of hard to kind of keep me down. So
Yeah, I agree. It is very hard to keep Mitch down. That is something I can absolutely get behind. So we're gonna give it a couple more minutes, let everyone filter in. Mitch, have we sent out anything on Twitter telling people we're doing this?
no, I'm doing it right now actually. So I got you
Okay,
covered.
yeah, if you want to do it, I'll just repost it. Sounds good. By the way, folks, you're probably going to hear a lot of communicating with me and Mitch because Mitch has absolutely no idea what the plan here is. Like I said, we literally just joined into a phone call, and that took 30 minutes. We're basically going to wing this, but it's the first time we've ever done this. I know I'm excited. I know Mitch is excited, and I'm sure y'all are excited. It looks like Chef Gregory's very excited, and he says bust of a storm here in New Jersey, 1.3 inches. Well, sorry, Chef. Maybe you'll get them next time. We'll see.
Sharing the stuff now, man. I'm gonna share it on my Facebook too. So hopefully we can get a
Awesome.
lot of
Yeah.
people because I've certainly missed a lot of questions on my social media. I haven't been able to answer any YouTube comments since Friday. So looking forward to
Mm.
answering some questions tonight for sure.
Yeah. And Mitch, if you got the stream pulled up on your side, if there's any question that you see, just jump in and answer it because we're basically going to do that. Tonight's going to be answering questions galore. We're going to talk through model guidance and stuff, of course, but I think we're basically going to just start talking, start going, and we'll answer questions as we go. And Mitch, since I'm kind of having to pull around all the maps and stuff, it would probably be even best for me if you can initiate the question answering. That'd be great.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Mm.
Um. Yeah, there's a whole lot of questions right now. Will Lexington, North Carolina get any snow? Yeah, I mean, I definitely could see that. Um, we'll definitely get a good routine going. It's definitely what I can say overall before we start answering exact questions and is in general, it looks like we started trending in the right direction this morning, and after about 48 hours straight of pretty bad trends, and it seems like things just dramatically beginning to shift back in the direction of more snow further back north and west. So, if you live, say, back in the I-20 corridor, 85, there's now a chance here. So Definitely getting stoked, man.
Yeah, I think we're all super stoked for this. Also, now that we've had some people kind of filter in here, I'm gonna do the usual little thing at the beginning here. If you haven't already, go ahead, like the stream, subscribe to my channel and Mitch's channel. If for some reason you are from my channel and you don't know about Mitch's channel, his link for his channel is right in the description. And Mitch is dangerously close to 100,000 subscribers. So go ahead, get him there. Let's do it during a Carolina winter storm. I can't think of a better time to do it. So definitely run over there, subscribe to his channel, and hit the bell for the latest notifications on both of our channel. That's a great way to stay up to date. Mitch has been an absolute workhorse recently, so if I don't have a video, normally he has one. And a little story time with that, actually, I was going to have a video this evening, and then I'll be completely honest, I kind of took a 2 o'clock nap, and next thing I know, it was 6 o'clock. So the evening video turned into this live stream. So I apologize about that, but that's kind of just the way things go sometimes. All right, so cool. Well, we've got a ton of people in here. Mitch, did you want to add anything on that as well, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, appreciate all the support. If people are tuning in from my channel, hey, I just definitely want to say I apologize for not being able to answer a lot of stuff. I've definitely left a lot of people hanging over the last few days, and just between just being sick, not being able to keep up with the normal push of energy that I kind of pride myself in a good bit. It's been tough to keep up. Just been fighting a sickness, and so definitely, like I said, happy to be here, happy to answer some questions, and hopefully everybody can end up happy with this.
Yeah, I think I'll tell you right now, I think someone is going to be a lot happier come tomorrow than they think right now. This reminds me of basically every winter storm ever in the Southeast where somebody's going to get shocked in some way. Somebody who right now thinks they're not going to get anything, I think is probably going to end up with an inch or two of snow. And we'll talk about why that is in the models. But let's go ahead and start breaking down some data. And again, Mitch, if there's any map you want me to pull up, let me know and I can pull it up and we can break it down. I'll just kind of go through the progression of the maps I had pulled up. And as we go, definitely let me know. Okay, so what I've got right now is a radar kind of looping here, and you can kind of see it beginning to fill in over Texas and Oklahoma, and even down into portions of Louisiana. This is the start of our winter storm getting going. You can see that blue. And I was watching Mitch's video this morning, and he made a very good point that he would not be surprised if we had some overperforming on this northern side up here. And you can already kind of see that in the Dallas area, seeing some flakes fly. And if we switch it over to the MPing, which you don't know what this is basically people reporting what's falling from the sky. Plenty of folks already reporting some snow falling back into Oklahoma. We've got plenty of reports down into the Waco area of some snow already beginning to fall, some flakes in the Dallas-Fort Worth area falling. Heck, we've already got flakes flying here near Alexandria, Louisiana. So it's starting, folks. We are here, and it's a full send ahead from here on out. Mitch, did you want to add anything on the kind of the current conditions front and what we're seeing compared to trends?
Yeah, I mean, heck, you got a ping about 10 minutes ago. What southeast of Alexandria, Louisiana. So listen, one thing that you hear nonstop, and in setups like this when you have a lot of Arctic air is dry air, virga, dry air, virga. It's to me, it's very offsetting sometimes because what people don't realize is Arctic air will squeeze out every little bit of moisture in the atmosphere. But then again, it's kind of and then again, it's sometimes kind of the other way around where dry air limits things with the virga and stuff like that. So I think this is a case where sometimes it's overplayed, sometimes it's not. Uh, Out there, light snow is going to cause a dusting in a heartbeat. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great, Mitch. So also, I just stood up for a second, guys. Sorry, I had to go press a button on something. So that's my bad if you saw me just randomly walk across the room. But yeah, so that's kind of current conditions right now. And I'll say, I think already, and we've seen some people posting about this, we're already kind of seeing the precip shield a little bit bigger than some of the models have projected. And something to add too that I think is very kind of fun here is the hurricane hunters are out there flying around right now near like New Orleans, Mobile, and areas just kind of off the Gulf Coast there. And they're dropping drop sons to kind of see what's going on in the atmosphere. And I think that is super cool that we're going to get that data in. And from what I saw, Mitch, they said by 0Z models, we should have some of that data in. So the HUR that's about to run and all that, we should be able to see some of those trends. And if we're on here long enough, we can probably break that down as it comes in. So that should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've never really, I've never really seen that before. I'm sure it's happened. I know it's happened, but for them to be able to pluck in data like that, it's going to be pretty wild if there's a dramatic shift um, after the OOZ stuff. That would get a lot of people certainly going here, including us for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's already been one of those days where the trend is your friend, and this is going to be a fun map to talk about, Mitch. This is, I think you can see it probably on the stream. This is the latest watches, warnings, and advisory map, and we've got winter storm warnings from the Gulf Coast of Texas all the way through the Florida Panhandle. And when I say Panhandle, I mean we're talking even areas of the Big Bend. In fact, Mitch, I don't have to check, but I think Perry, Florida, right now is under a winter storm warning, or maybe just north of there, but. Let's see. Maybe we can pull that up and find
They
out real
are,
quick.
they are. Yep,
Yeah, they
I
are.
actually it caught my attention doing my videos the last 2 mornings. I'm like, I think I mentioned it in yesterday, this morning's video. I was like, Perry, Florida, getting hit by multiple hurricanes in a couple years, and now they have a winter storm warning. So yeah, it's been pretty wild over the last couple years for northern Florida. What's wild to me is, I got some maps pulled up myself on my end, but I mean, the winter storm warnings go all the way to just east. I mean, it's basically in the western suburbs of Jacksonville, Florida. I mean, it's rare enough to get winter weather in the western panhandle of Florida. I think northeastern Florida is certainly even more difficult. So um, that's just incredible stuff. It's just hard to get over. It really is.
Yeah, and I'd be lying if I said it's hard to get over in multiple ways. Being in Charlotte and you in Columbia, kind of, I would say areas like Charlotte, Columbia, Fayetteville, right in this region that is not under anything, has kind of been in the screw zone so far this winter. Last week we had that big storm. Atlanta got clobbered. Greenville, Spartanburg didn't get clobbered, but they at least had like an inch or so of snow. Columbia, Charlotte, Fayetteville, this little core, kind of like triangle I have drawn. Yeah, it has not been our winter for some reason. We had a storm to the north. Now we've got a storm to the south. For God's sake, I don't even. It kind of hard. It kind of hurts to look at a little bit. I'll be honest. I'm sure you kind of share that sentiment a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely do. I've actually mentally have gotten past that though because it's happened so much, not just over this year, but the last few years. I don't think there's anybody else out there that complains more than me, more than I do about getting hoodooed from areas to the west. And if anybody's tuning in from Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, it's not a shot at you guys, but it has definitely seemed a lot easier for you guys to get winter weather than us in the Carolinas and Georgia lately. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know why, or it's just the weather. It's just the weather. Also, a lot of the familiar faces in the chat. I saw Aaron, Maddie's in here. Hey, Maddie. Maddie, newly graduated meteorologist. Maddie, are you working at the airport this for this storm, or are you back in back home? Let me know. It'd be kind of fun if you get to see snow in Charlotte out of it. If it snows in Charlotte, that is. That's a big caveat. So yeah, a lot of familiar faces. All right, cool. So that's that map. I also wanted to pull this up, Mitch. This is the overall impact index out of this storm for areas that are going to be impacted. So, they're calling for moderate to major impacts. I think even on another map, I saw extreme impacts kind of sprinkled in here. But the I-10 corridor from Houston to New Orleans, this is where the storm's going to be historic. I've gotten plenty of comments from people saying, oh, this storm's not going to be historic. And for areas of the Carolinas, I would agree. I don't think this is going to be one that is necessarily put in the history books and always remembered. It'll still be a good little winter weather event for areas that just don't get it often. But the historic proportions are going to be out here from Houston into Baton Rouge, Lake Charles, Beaumont, Port Arthur, and down into New Orleans, in areas that just do not see a lot of snow. And we could be seeing areas that get half a foot of snow, especially right in here, kind of Baton Rouge, Lake Charles, Lafayette, New Iberia, maybe even down into the NOLA area itself. I wouldn't be shocked. But Mitch, kind of what is your thought on this map here? And these are impacts starting really tonight and into tomorrow, I should add.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised it's not more widespread red in some of those areas, like in Louisiana. Some of those areas, if you live from that Lake Charles to Baton Rouge area, I mean, they're calling for over a half. They're confident in over a half a foot of snow now in some of those areas, and I think it's just going to snow like crazy um, starting tomorrow morning into the early afternoon hours. Truly, just a quick hitting, big time snowstorm for you guys, and I'm pulling for you guys not to mix with any ice too. I hope it's all snow. You got some models differing with that, but Yeah, I mean, this is going to be just a crazy event for sure.
Yeah, one that you just don't see very often. So that's kind of tonight into tomorrow. We'll move it into kind of tomorrow into Wednesday. Here's the map for that. And you can see other areas that just don't get winter weather often getting in the mix here. Specifically, I think an area that even I think I've neglected more than I should probably in my videos is the Florida Panhandle. Destin, Crestview, over to Milton, Pensacola. We could see the beaches covered in snow. The Gulf Coast beaches, not the beaches of New England. We're talking the Florida white sandy beaches could see a couple of inches of snow covering it here, and then even snow upwards towards Dothan, where we could see moderate to major impacts. Albany, Georgia, down here into Southwest Georgia, another area we're watching for big impacts. And then you'll notice even further east along the I-10 corridor into Jacksonville could see impacts. Probably more of an ice threat, I think, into Tallahassee and Jacksonville. Maybe as far south as a place like Gainesville trying to get in on the winter weather down here. And it's going to be a very interesting radar watch tomorrow morning out into this area. And then it shifts up into the Carolinas. And this is where the forecast gets very tricky for cities like Augusta, Columbia, Fayetteville, up towards Greenville, North Carolina. Very tricky forecast in here. Atlanta as well, I should add, and kind of all of those regions. So Mitch, kind of what's your thought on this map?
Yeah, if you live in Georgia and the Carolinas, first off, um, I think I think I want to say the areas of like southwestern Georgia is going to be a little bit of a jackpot area. Even southeast Alabama. If you live in that area, I would watch out for this to overachieve. And I also will say this, folks. I actually have family in the extreme western panhandle of Florida, so a little bit jealous of them. But I expect some pretty dramatic changes with this if you live up to the 20 corridor. I mean, no doubt these people are seeing what we're seeing. I think some people, the public, gets a little carried away and they think that they're not seeing these changes in models like we are, but they are. They just can't pull the trigger on stuff as quickly as me and Gerald might and post at free will without getting blasted by the public. But if you live up there like Atlanta, Augusta, I mean Columbia, Florence, Fayetteville, I expect some pretty dramatic changes in the forecast if trends continue into the overnight hours. I think they're just kind of waiting. Um, but this could just be one of those storms that, just you kind of go to bed tonight and they might be calling for a half an inch and you wake up tomorrow morning, they're calling for 2 to 3 inches of snow. I mean, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but it certainly could. I mean, I think Gerald could probably, say this too. And even Eric Webb, which is a very knowledgeable guy on social media that a lot of people know, I don't think there is a I don't think there's a limit that how I don't think there's much of a limit on how much this thing can dig. So this might continue to trend in the way it's trending all the way up until verification. So
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think that's a very important point. We're still about 24 hours from this starting, maybe a little less, like 20-ish hours from this starting in the Carolinas. That's a lot of time for models to swing, folks. I mean, sometimes we see crazy swings run to run, let alone still having almost a whole day to get there. So I think we're definitely gaining confidence in a high impact winter storm along the coast. Now, precipitation type could be argued a little bit. I'm still a believer we're going to run into some ice problems down here. One reason for that is the latest NAM that ran kind of shows that concern, and the NAM absolutely nailed the warm nose last week. So I'm going to put my cards on that one. But I kind of made a map on Twitter a couple days ago, and I circled this area in here. And I said, I think this is the best place to be if you want beautiful snow without ice. Now, when I say beautiful snow, I don't mean a foot of snow, but I mean that nice snow. You don't have to worry about sleet. You don't have to worry about freezing rain, enough to kind of cover everything and turn it white. And then yesterday, that map kind of looked like it was cooked, as the kids say. And then today, it might be coming back a little bit. So I still think places like Florence, and I'm not saying this just because Mitch is from Columbia, I really think Columbia is one of those places that could really overperform with this storm. And when I say overperform, again, I don't mean half a foot of snow, but you could go from what is being forecasted as basically nothing right now to a quick inch, inch and a half of snow. Now, it gets tougher the further north you go. You get up to Greenville, Spartanburg, Charlotte, Greensboro. We're going to need one heck of a trend to get there. Not that it's impossible, but we're going to need some very impressive trends to get snow up that far north. But the I-20 corridor, I would say you're on the up right now. And it's kind of, the an old saying, but just a philosophy, I guess, when it comes to winter weather. You don't really ever want to be in the bullseye out ahead of the storm. You want to be kind of getting into the bullseye as you get towards the storm. I think that's exactly what's happening here along the I-20 corridor. What say you, Mitch? I know it's basically what you just said, but you want to add to that at all anymore?
Yeah, one thing I would say is that some of the National Weather Service are very gun shy right now, and this is not me knocking on them. I don't want anybody to think that they're the experts for a reason, but you can tell that there's I would say some differences in pulling the trigger, I guess you would say, between Atlanta and Columbia. Atlanta has had winter storm watches up for about 2 days now, all the way up to, I mean, just northeast of the city. Um, I mean, that's pretty wild, to think about. Columbia has not put up. I mean, they have. And I want to use the right words. They've been kind of stingy with it. Conservative, I guess, is the correct term, and so much so that they've actually cut the Orangeburg County in half. Didn't even put the entire county in a winter weather advisory, and they've just kind of limited it to the southern Midlands. And I certainly think with these trends, you at least go on and put some winter weather advisories up through the central Midlands, in my opinion, or maybe even some winter storm watches. I think people get confused with the winter storm watches, and they think they are immediately going to upgrade to winter storm warnings. But winter storm watch to a winter weather advisory is considered an upgrade. So if you kind of set the standard by a winter storm watch, if you go up to a winter weather advisory, that's an upgrade. Most people don't view it like that. Some really weather geeks like us would say, "Oh man, that stinks. That's disappointing," but it's the truth. So if you kind of and I feel like I feel like Atlanta does that. I feel like Columbia used to do it too. So I'm very confused at why you don't at least throw a watch up there, and then later upgrade it to an advisory or maybe a winter storm warning. Because I think ultimately a lot of the areas in the central Midlands will get winter weather advisories. Maybe, I mean, by the time we're done with this live. So that's just my take on that. I'm a little confused about how conservative they are, but they know what they're doing. So
Yeah, totally. I agree. Mitch made this point earlier. It's a lot tougher for a TV meteorologist or especially a meteorologist of the National Weather Service to just completely bump up a forecast off of a couple model runs.
right.
I do want to add in. Yeah, I want to add in here, Mitch. We've got almost just shy of 1,000 people watching right now. So awesome! If y'all haven't already, again, I'll remind you, go ahead and like the stream so it reaches more people. Subscribe to my channel and Mitch's channel, and hit the bell for notifications. Again, kind of doing all those things will help this stream reach even more people. So pretty awesome, Mitch. This is the most I've had in a stream. Probably, luckily, thanks for you being here. But either
Oh,
way,
that's
still
awesome,
fun.
man. I was about to ask if what your highest you've ever had at, but we're almost at 1,000, so that's awesome. And welcome to anybody who's tuning in, and definitely happy to have everybody. I see where um, Charles 5600 is asking a ton if there's any snow potential for Connecticut. So I'm gonna go on and answer you, man. I see you keep saying it. Maybe Gerald can add something to this, but I'll be honest, I haven't looked past this week. I've actually had some people in my comments saying, "Mitch, you're so focused on the South. What about this, that, and the other?" I mean, I've neglected a lot of areas, but I don't know what's coming in the future past this week. I know there's a little system to watch after Tuesday night and a Wednesday um, for, I mean, the Southeast and the Mid Atlantic again. But I mean, I'm so like hyper focused on what's going on with this that I have not even looked even past Thursday hardly. So I don't know. Maybe Gerald has something to add to that. So I don't know if you got some snowstorms coming for Connecticut, Bubba. Hopefully you do.
Yeah, great question. And I was breaking down the Northeast winter storm 2 nights ago with another guest speaker, which was a lot of fun. And that was a pretty good storm for a lot of folks. Up next, I'm kind of in the same boat as Mitch. I've been a little bit focused on this one, rightfully so, I think. But coming down the road, there are signs that the pattern stays active. I think especially for the Northeast. I was looking at it. The ensembles are pretty excited about 7 to 10 days from now. Maybe another piece of the polar vortex breaking off into eastern Canada and trying to clip the Northeast. That could do something for you. It's just up in the air right now. There's also a little storm signal, by the way. Let's not forget for later this week in the Southeast. The models aren't showing it right now, at least with the pretty snow maps. But they've got the energy and a pretty favorable orientation for something. And I'm pretty shocked that we're not getting kind of some fun little runs mixed in there. But we will definitely take a look at that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do want to briefly, yeah, go ahead and add to that, Mitch. Yeah.
Gerald, I do want to mention because we are starting to get a little bit more model data in, and the Euro AI 18Z I'm hearing has shifted west too, and I think that's a pretty big deal, and I think that's a model that's gaining a lot of respect, out there in the weather community for sure, for especially how it handled this last winter storm in the south. But it has been rock steady. It took on more of that suppressed look a few days ago, maybe several days ago, and nobody really wanted to believe it, including me. But it is coming back north, and it just, from what I'm hearing, it's shifting back west. But unfortunately, that does not come out till like weather bell and stuff for about another hour or so. But I'm on southernweather.com, which by the way is a phenomenal site if you're a weather geek like us and you want to get good information. But that model's coming east. I'm coming west too, so that would mean more snow back west. So that's huge. We continue to get these ticks west all the way up to verification. We're going to get some surprises. So just wanted to throw that out there. Didn't mean to interrupt you, buddy.
No, you're good. Also, Mitch, I just made you a moderator, so if there's any point I'm talking and there's any shenanigans in the chat, feel free to mute people and do that fun stuff.
Okay.
So I also want to say thanks. We had a $2 super chat from Chris, so thank you, Chris. By the way, all these super chats, I'm obviously not going to run with your money, folks. Me and Mitch are going to split that because we've both been working like dogs, and we're going to buy some pizza. So, but thank you so much, Chris. That means a lot. All right, so I did want to talk a little bit about, and the good news is the longer we talk, the further we get into zero-Z model guidance, and we can kind of break it down together, Mitch. Let's talk about the setup a little bit, because the reason that this has been a pain in the rear end for the Southeast is the upper level maps here. And this is the NAM, which all the models are basically, in agreement generally of what's going to happen in the upper levels, but we're going to get little changes. And here's kind of what I've been talking about in my videos. Also, thanks, James Pettis WX, for the $5 super chat. He says, legendary live stream. We appreciate you, buddy. So thank you so much for that. But basically what's happening is we've got two pieces of energy. So the reason Texas and Louisiana are going to score big time on this, and areas of the Carolinas are kind of fighting for any ounce of snow they can get, is this reason. So I always talk about in my videos the anatomy of a trough. So we've got two separate troughs. Now, always on the right-hand side of these troughs, we get what we call upper level divergence. So let me draw that in here on the map for you so y'all can see that. Again, it's kind of hard to draw with a mouse and not a pen, so ignore the crude kind of way it looks. And I'll give the same analogy here in a second, but on the other side, we get what we call convergence aloft. And again, we have two separate troughs, so we're running into the same problem with each, or not problem, but just kind of the way that the atmosphere works here, dynamically speaking. So I'll do the analogy. This is from Fundamentals of Meteorology. So if you want a sneak peek of what life is like as a meteorology student, this is basically kind of a sophomore level class concept. So what happens is a trough, kind of the wind gets really strong at the bottom of it because it's an area of cold air and warm air fighting each other, and that creates a pressure and temperature gradient, and the winds just get super fast there in the bottom. So the ballerina analogy is my favorite one to use. What happens is as the wind is entering that trough, it has to match that fast speed, so it's got to speed up. So think about a ballerina or anything twirling. What does it do to speed up? It comes close, so it kind of reduces that frictional force on the outside, and it starts spinning like a top a lot quicker. So that's that zone of convergence where the wind is coming together or converging, and that creates sinking motion. That's generally where we get high pressure to form, and that's where we miss out on all sorts of fun lift and winter weather. Now, the flip thing has to happen as the wind is leaving the trough. Again, it's super fast in the bottom here of the trough, but it's not as fast as you're leaving. So just like a ballerina, what does it do to slow down? It spreads out, or it diverges above us, and that creates lift at the surface. And that's when we get those fun storms to form. That's when we get all of our big weather days, is when we're on the diverging side of these troughs. Now, that's fun and games here. Obviously, see the divergence over Texas and Louisiana. That's why we're getting the snow and the ice of kind of historic proportions down here, is we've got the super cold air and the divergence lining up. Now, here's the problem, though. To the north, you see this northern area of convergence? That's kind of moving in, and what the models have been hinting at least over the past couple of days, now backing off a little bit today, is that convergence kind of coming in and suppressing over the Carolinas at the same time that our divergence is moving in. So you can see that here. Here's the divergence from the bottom trough. So I'll just kind of draw it in here. Here's the convergence from the northern trough. And the question is, can we get this northern piece to chill out and kind of back off, or this southern piece to kind of speed up a little bit and beat the upper level convergence with some divergence? That's the $1 million question. And that's what the models have been shifting on a little bit today, is making that divergent area a little more of a player than the convergence. So that's kind of the setup. Mitch, did you want to talk about kind of your views on the setup and maybe pros and cons and anything else you want to add?
Absolutely not. You just killed it, bro. So, I think that you just did one heck of a job explaining that, man. There ain't nothing to add to that.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Couple more super chats. Chris, again, with another super chat. Thank you so much. He says, "You are my new go-to weather YouTuber. Awesome job. I appreciate you watching, Chris. Chris, that means a lot." And then M1ND Funk, I think, also has a super chat. Didn't say anything, but thank you nonetheless. We appreciate that. Also, if y'all want your questions answered, like front up, if you put something in the super chat, we'll kind of pause right in the stream and just go right to answering it live verbally. So you kind of get that benefit. And speaking of benefits on that, I'm looking into memberships on my channel. Mitch already has it, so definitely check out his. But memberships with kind of similar benefits, excuse me, coming soon to my channel. So a little sneak peek at the future. But that's the setup on this storm. Let's go and dive into some models, Mitch. What do you say?
That's cool. I see one question. What about Jacksonville, North Carolina? Just kind of want to answer some on the fly here because I'm missing a lot
Yeah,
of
go for it.
questions. But yeah, Jacksonville. Anybody in Jacksonville, like I think I said Florida, North Carolina is what I meant. Um, Jacksonville down to Wilmington. I mean, pretty much everybody out in the Outer Banks. I mean, extremely eastern sections of North Carolina. I'm talking about well east of Raleigh. You guys, like east of Rocky Mount, Greenville, you guys have an opportunity to really get a jackpot out of this as far as the southeast. This thing is going to. I think the latest National Weather Service forecast has areas of the Outer Banks up to 4 to 6 inches of snow. So that is a dramatic change since just this morning. So, not saying Jacksonville, for example, North Carolina is going to get 4 to 6 inches of snow, but you guys will definitely get accumulating snow out of this for sure. At least a couple inches, I would say, at least. But just want to answer a couple of those, man.
Awesome.
Um,
By the way, we've got like 1,200 people in here, Mitch, kind of bouncing in and around that number. That is awesome.
yeah, man,
And
that's
then,
great.
yeah, I know you get the two Carolina boys together and things start to click, I guess. We've got a couple more super chats filtering in here. Zach Lee watching in Columbus, Georgia. Well, Zach, I think you'll get it pretty good down there. That's one of the areas I favor, maybe a little bit of a chance of at least some overperforming snow. What do you think on Columbus, Georgia, Mitch? By the way, we've got some time to stall here because the Zero Z Her is loading right now. So the more we talk, the more time it has to run.
Yeah, Columbus, Georgia, man, that's a good spot to talk about. And then, and I do want to mention when we mention these towns and cities, if you live near these areas, I would take this as what we're saying too. But Columbus, man, that's a tricky area. But you're kind of right on the edge of glory. Well south of Atlanta. I would say, definitely some accumulating snow. But once you get down to like south of that area, like Dothan, I mean Auburn. Well, not Auburn. Auburn's actually a little bit further north than Columbus, but certainly in all the smaller towns and communities in Southwest Georgia, Southeast Alabama. I really like that area, man. I don't know, man. I just think that they're gonna. I think they're gonna overachieve. I think that the snow could move into that area. I mean, as early as like before lunchtime tomorrow. So, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Awesome. Then Peter Moss with a super chat says, with the trough digging further south, could that drop the rain, snow mix line further south into the Florida Peninsula, say Ocala, Florida? So potentially, I'll just say in general speaking, the models underdo these Arctic air masses. So the mesoscale models, like the NAM, I think have a better idea of that rain, snow, ice line. The NAM's been further south with the ice, and I think rightfully so. So I think at this point, Peter, it's more now casting whether the models are overdoing the temperature or underdoing the temperature, but absolutely. Maybe not quite as far south as Ocala. If you're north of Ocala up towards Gainesville, a much higher likelihood of that. And if we go back to this map here, you can kind of see that pretty well. I think here's Ocala. Notice it's not far from that kind of ice potential. Here's Gainesville. Just maybe half an hour, probably not even that, well, about half an hour, maybe up I-75 there. I think that's where the icy potential really becomes a bigger problem. Ocala, I think you're gonna be a little far south for anything big, but maybe you get some freezing rain or sleet. What do you think about Ocala, Mitch?
Yeah, definitely can get a wintry mix. I could see, especially at the tail end of this tomorrow, not tomorrow, but Wednesday morning. Definitely a winter mix. And I will say, with the digging and stuff, um, it's a little bit of a civil war in each state. I mentioned this a couple of days ago from social media. For example, we can speak on the Carolinas and even Georgia. The more you pull for it to come northwest, the more that you're going to deal with mixing issues closer to the coast. So it's kind of like someone's win is another person's loss, unfortunately, with this setup. Because you bring the warm nose in, the closer you get a low pressure in, the more warm nose. The more warm air, not only at the surface you bring in. But what most people don't realize, which is what makes forecasting weather so difficult, is that warm air aloft. So you bring in that warm air just above the surface, then you start to have that little warm nose of air about several thousand feet above your head, and you start melting those snowflakes, and it turns into sleet or freezing rain. I don't think the cold air is an issue at the surface. You're going to be self-freezing just about in all these areas that have winter storm warnings and stuff. So you might be thinking, why isn't it, snowing? But there's more to it than that. So I definitely think y'all could end with a wintry mix. And I will say this too, man. In my opinion, just because I think that just the dynamics of the system really changes once it gets into Alabama and Georgia. I feel like, um, you know, it, I feel like the tilt changes, and you just talked about that. And things can dramatically change once we start to get into you know tomorrow, because of that tilt of the system. So it starts to kind of ride up, more southwest than northeast.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of very east to west, based in Texas and Louisiana. But once you get to the Carolinas, it becomes more southeast or southwest to northeast kind of oriented, and that'll play a big deal with who gets stuff. Irons Daily with super chat says a lot of schools in Northwest Georgia have canceled tomorrow. Does it seem like it's shifting that much? I'll just say I think they're playing it safe, and I don't blame them, because you never know is the thing. And I think Snowmageddon 2014 is a great example. Mitch, you were alive and much older than me and probably much more interested in the weather than I was at the age of like 10 then. So if you want to talk about that and the similarity with this one, and not to say that they'll be the same, but kind of why maybe some of these schools are canceling out of a safety net.
Yeah, I think it is very similar. I think it's more of a product of it's going to be snowing in Atlanta. Probably, I would say before rush hour tomorrow, 5 o'clock. And it's going to be so cold. I mean, it's sub freezing out there for most of the South right now. Getting into the teens for a lot of areas tonight, low 20s at the warmest. And all surfaces will be cold. So once the atmosphere moistens up, you get rid of the dry air. I mean, light snow starts falling. And it's going to be one of those weird situations where I think it'll accumulate on the roads before it does on like the grassy surfaces. So it could catch people by surprise. But I think the National Weather Service in Atlanta has done a great job of keeping people, and even I'm sure the local Mets and meteorologists in Atlanta have probably mentioned this a million times. So it really shouldn't catch anybody off guard. And I think that's why. And listen, you never know if that's going to become a Columbia thing, an Augusta thing, a Greenville Spartanburg thing. You get that tongue of snow all the way up to the Greenville Spartanburg area, it could catch people by surprise. There are a lot of people in the upstate of South Carolina, up to Charlotte, the Piedmont, that just thinks this is not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. It's just not. Well, you get into about lunchtime tomorrow and you start looking at the radar and you see, those snow pings pretty far north. You're like, okay, well, this might be about to happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. 8F'er with a super chat says, hello, fellow weather student. Here's money for a coffee from a fellow student in your class. Well, thank you. Speaking of student in my class, I still have homework to do. It's due tomorrow, but I've done most of it. Just a little bit left to go. So it's always fun to balance school and this. Not at all. It's not fun, but it is something you have to do. And Mitch balances a job in this, which is probably way tougher than me balancing school in this. So Eric Pearson says, thanks for keeping us updated. Hoping for Atlanta snow. Eric, I think especially if you're on the south side of the city, you can see the ground get covered. What do you think about Atlanta, Mitch?
Yeah, I think you can get a dusting. At least I would say at least. But oh man, that 20 corridor is tough, Gerald. That's a tough one. Very, very tough. And I feel like as it kind of bends back east more to Columbia to Augusta, I think you have a better chance at accumulations. But Atlanta's a tough. That is a tough place to forecast with this, and I really could see snow moving in certainly before you head home from work. And I think that's why they're honking the horn at it a little bit louder than what you would think in Atlanta because of that little bit of snow that can move in before everybody heads home. I think someone left a question saying, "What do y'all think about the H triple R model?" I want to add something on that because it is in range with me. I'm looking at Weather Bell. So the H triple R model is, I'll admit it, it's definitely a model that's not biting as hard, I would say, on the trend north. But I would also say this: it has ticked further north. It's just by a hair. Yeah. I don't know if you have it through on your range or not, but it has ticked north. Now, this is what I just talked about with how it's different from Mississippi points west and then Alabama points east. So the entire tilt of the storm changes. It starts to kind of get a little bit further north. So I'm trying to find the right words to say this. Just because it looks one way over there, it doesn't look like there's a northward push over to the west. Doesn't mean you're not gonna see it to the east. For example, it doesn't look much different to the west. It looks a little bit better once you get into Georgia and the Carolinas into Virginia. But there's definitely the her model, H triple R model, whatever you want to call it, is definitely not biting as hard on this. But it is making small scale ticks. I would say.
Yeah, I got it pulled up on my end right now. Yeah, it gets that light to moderate snow just to the I-20 corridor on the latest run, and it's not loading the older runs on my end for some reason. But you said it's a little bit further north than it was last time. Um,
It
yeah,
is.
that sounds
It
about right.
it is just a. It's a tick further. At least the northern extent of the snow is. It looks like the timing is a little bit quicker, and that's another thing, guys. Is the timing? I don't think is completely nailed down with the storm. I think that this is trending a little bit quicker, but I might be wrong. Just from what I'm noticing.
I feel like every storm ends up coming in quicker than modeled. Like that might just be me, but I think every model has like a progression bias where it's just quicker, or let me phrase that, maybe holding it back bias, at least in the short range. It always feels like these things get in like an hour or two sooner. So yeah, the models are starting to roll in on zeros. And by the way, these models should hopefully, I think they said, have some of the balloon data from the hurricane hunters that are out there dropping in around the Gulf. CF Gaming with the super chat says, any hope for the southeast areas of Virginia like Norfolk? That is another one of those areas that it's kind of boom or bust. It's nothing, or the ground could be completely covered with snow. Now, again, not a half a foot or anything. That's not going to happen. But you could get upwards of like an inch or so in areas of southeast Virginia. Like we were talking about, the orientation changing of this helps you up there. Notice back here in Texas, Louisiana, how it starts kind of east to west looking, but then once it gets to the Carolinas, it kind of follows the coast a little bit. That helps you folks up here in Norfolk a little bit. If this stayed east to west, you'd be completely out of it, but the fact that the orientation of this trough kind of begins to follow the coast along that baroclinic zone of instability, that gives you a chance in Norfolk. You want to talk about southeast Virginia a little bit, Mitch, at all, and kind of your.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I think that's a big boom area, but it's also an area that might not get much at all. I think that area down to Raleigh, down to certainly down to Fayetteville, kind of sit in the same area. Things could change quick with this storm, guys, really quick.
Yeah, completely agree. Gary says, just found a channel watching from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Well, hello, Gary. Welcome. Great to see you. Make sure to also find Mitch's channel if you haven't already. He's just as good as me. Let me make sure I'm caught up to date here. Yeah, okay. Then there was also, sorry, a lot of comments, y'all. SR says, Scott and Amanda in Lumberton, east of I-95. Are we in the group that might wake up to some potential higher snow totals if trends continue? Absolutely, Scott and Amanda in Lumberton. That's one of those areas in that kind of PD zone of kind of PD Sandhills mixed bag area that I think you're also in that potential for a big uptrend. And you can even see that on the HER here, the model that I've got running right now. Let me refresh it too, so kind of some of the latest data might try to come in a little bit here. Yeah, you kind of see that snow potential beginning. This would be Tuesday evening, about 8 p.m. Definitely having that chance for higher end totals in Lumberton. By the way, every time I storm chase in North Carolina, Mitch, I feel like I end up in Lumberton somehow. It might just be me, but
Yeah, that's cool.
Carson Good says anything for Gaffney, South Carolina. Gaffney's a little far north. It's again, if we keep the trend into tomorrow and we keep on pushing this north, then I think even the I-85 corridor of upstate South Carolina could at least see flakes fly. But I think this is gonna be more of a Columbia, Florence kind of event compared to the upstate. But that's just it's so tough and kind of that corridor in there. Quentin King says, this reminds me so much of 2009 and 2014 here in Atlanta when models had the snow staying south, Gerald and Mitch. Yeah, I agree. And climatologically speaking, this storm should snow in Columbia and Atlanta. And I think that's kind of the big battle there's been. The Climate Prediction Center, Mitch, I know you've been showing their maps, was completely different yesterday than what the model showed. They still had snow in Atlanta, Columbia, and areas like that, when the models had nothing, because they're kind of basing it off of climatology and knowing generally with a setup like this, it snows in those cities. But okay, what's your thought on that, Mitch? Kind of the climatology versus the modelology versus the meteorology versus kind of all of it.
Yeah, I mean, you might be onto something a little bit more than I am, and if that's the truth, then it makes sense. But those graphics definitely I would say they made the rounds heavily a couple days ago, giving a lot of people hope. And maybe that is what they're basing it off of. Unless you are confirming that you heard that's what it's based off of, with just the extension north and west compared to what's shown. And heck, they might end up being right. I just think there's a lot of disagreements out there with local meteorologists and people at the National Weather Service. You want to think that that's the case, and then you'll read a discussion from the National Weather Service, and then they're downplaying the heck out of it. It just seems like there's a lot of disagreements out there. From people in general. You would think that they're all connected. That would be your assumption, but I don't think they are.
Yeah, kind of the way it works for the National Weather Service offices is they try to coordinate, but they're not forced to coordinate is the thing. So, if let's say NWS Columbia just completely says that NWS Atlanta is out to lunch, not saying that's the case, but hypothetically here, wink, wink, then
Yeah.
they're allowed to do that. They're allowed to have a completely different forecast. Like that's the way it works. Now, generally, yeah, they try to communicate it and stuff. But we're all human and we're all trying to predict the future. So it's not like we're looking at a math equation where there's a simple final answer. We're looking at math simulations on completely different answer possibilities. So kind of getting different final answers there. And I haven't heard specifically from anyone that is climatology, Mitch. I just kind of figured it has to be. They've got to be factoring that in to have the snow line that far north. And to their credit, now we look at the models and they're shifting that way a little bit. So maybe that comes out that way. It's Jake from UNCC. Do your dynamics homework. Hello, Jake. I will see you tomorrow in class. And yes, I will do the dynamics homework after this. I did my calculus homework and my climate dynamics homework for what it's worth. I've not done the math stuff. Then we also had a pal pass, put a super chat. So thank you, pal pass, for that. Go ahead, Mitch.
Do want to add from my folks here in the Central Carolinas, they did issue winter weather advisories just now. Nope, never mind. I read that wrong. No, they have not. They've just stayed the same. Could have swore it looked different. So my bad. Sorry for the false hope. I think that'll change though. That's weird. I could have.
I do too. I think tomorrow they'll throw some in there.
But also, I'm going to send you something through Messenger. Maybe you want to share it to the people just to do a comparison between the two HRRR model runs, kind of a zoomed in look here. You can tell the difference.
Can you send it to me through? Can you send it to me through Twitter message by chance?
That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Okay. Awesome. That works. Cool. Also, folks, while Mitch is doing that, check this out on the HRRR. Look at these snowfall rates down into Florida on the latest run. This is crazy. Down here into South Georgia, South Florida. Oh, man, I tell you, so me and Mitch, by the way, let me know if you're in here and you were watching the night me and Mitch were in Florida chasing Helene. If any of you stragglers have been here that long and you were here for that, let me know. But that night we were in Greenville, Florida, and on this model, the HRRR model, the high resolution rapid refresh, the HRRR, whatever you want to call it, is showing like absolutely puking snow, as I like to say, along the I-10 corridor of Florida. That's crazy. That is insane sounding for Florida. That's just not something you see very often. And I guess I can tell you what kind of makes this insane a little bit. We talk about the math a little bit on it. So basically, this is our dendritic growth zone. This is just where snowflakes want to form. And it's pretty saturated. It's not completely saturated, meaning it's probably forming some pretty good snowflakes, but could be more. But these omega values, which basically just, again, I'm not going to get into all the science here, but just these kind of boxy things you see here, this histogram bar graph thing getting down into -2, that tells me it's a very efficient process at making snowflakes. And that's why you're getting these very high returns. I mean, you're getting Gulf moisture and Arctic air, and this is what you get. It's just crazy stuff, folks. Not something you see very often. So let's see. It looks like Mitch got that to me. Yeah, I can open this up for sure, Mitch.
Yeah.
All right, let me pull these up, guys, and why I do that, go ahead and like the stream if you haven't already, and subscribe to both of our channels. Again, we've got like 1,200 people in here, crazy stuff. So thanks, y'all. All right, let's see if I can get these pulled up here. Okay, let's switch it over. All right, so this is the 18Z her. And this is the, oh wait, okay, so let's switch it. So this is the run from earlier. Let me zoom this one in a little bit more as well. Y'all are seeing the behind the scenes stuff. Can y'all still see let me back it up a little more so you can still see the totals number, because you might not be able to from that. Okay, all right, so this is the run from earlier this afternoon on the HER for snowfall accumulation. This is the latest run. So the earlier run, the latest run. Yeah, check out Florida, Mitch, down here. The latest run. Look at that jump up down here in this little circled area I have.
Yeah.
Here's the previous run. Here's the new one. Even down into like Jacksonville and Savannah, 1/2 foot of snow on this latest model run. Now, again, not a forecast. We're just analyzing data here, folks. But it's that's crazy.
Yeah. One thing you notice is the footprint of snow increases. There's not much of an extension north with it. I mean, there's a tick depending on how close you want to how close you really want to analyze it. One would argue that's a little worse. But listen, the main heavy push of moisture is obviously further inland. So, we get to the 06Z per model. It'll be interesting to see if everything as a whole pushes further northwest. This has been the stubborn model. This has been the more stubborn one. We've had big ticks all day for favoring more snow further inland, right? But the H-R model has kind of just been your stubborn cousin. Just is not wanting to budge a whole lot. But I mean, that's a pretty big shift on the coast and down to South Florida. I'm sorry, South Georgia, North Florida for sure, and even in the eastern areas of North Carolina. So you're getting ticks with it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Also, just look how different it is for the Outer Banks. Here was the run this afternoon, and then here's the run tonight. Like completely different for the Outer Banks. It goes from nothing to like 2 or 3 inches of snow. So again, we're still seeing swings in the models, I guess is another thing to take away from that. And this model, not quite as big on the northern extent northward. I'll show you the GFS in a second. Mitch, can you, how far is the NAM on your end? It might have not even started yet.
Yeah, I don't think it's ran yet, man.
Okay.
No, it hasn't ran. I think we got a while for that.
Yeah. So yeah, just so I don't forget, because we started going right to the Carolinas. Let's quickly go back to Texas and Louisiana, because we kind of left y'all hanging on totals and stuff. So just to time it out for you, this is the latest HER for this area. The same story. It's going to start probably as some ice snow mix down into Houston, and then by the time we get to tomorrow morning, we've just got this big band of snow through much of Texas, or at least much of southern Texas, that is, and then into Louisiana. And that's when these totals are really going to bump up. And then throughout the day, Tuesday, you can see it kind of keep on going. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the progression of it. That hasn't changed so much. But let's talk about the totals out here a little bit, Mitch, starting with Houston and then getting into Louisiana. This is the latest from the NWS, going with 4.8 inches of snow in Houston, 5 inches in Galveston, 4.3 inches in Beaumont, and then kind of an inch or two there to the west of Houston towards the Columbus area, and then maybe even some snow falling in Austin and San Antonio. Mitch, what in the world? What are your thoughts?
Hey, enjoy. That's my thoughts. Historic. A lot of people don't like that word, but it's true. That's historic. I mean, I don't know if it's going to break all-time records, but I mean, yeah, enjoy. This is the storm, Gerald. I've heard a couple people say this, and I'm stealing it from others, but this is the storm that makes someone a weather geek. You know what I'm saying? The one that you don't forget.
Oh
You
yeah, totally.
kind of look back on things and you say, hey man, when you were 4 years old, we had this crazy, 5-inch snowstorm in Houston. Stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a little baby Gerald or a little young Mitch staring out the window in Houston tomorrow for sure.
Yeah.
They'll be one of us one day. So I might have missed this one. Jeremiah Jensen says, y'all rage for me as I will be on shift at the firehouse for this storm. Eat a slice of pizza for me, Mitch. I'm sure if it snows in Columbia, Mitch will have the pizza ready. Mitch, you want to talk a little bit about the whole pizza story? Because people who are new here might have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of little ticks that I have, but I've always thought that you got a beautiful combination of pizza and snow. There's nothing better than that. So I've always, in my head, I've always pictured them issuing a winter storm warning, um, ordering a pizza, and just doing one of my most two favorite things, which is eating pizza and breaking down an incoming winter storm. And then, I just started throwing the pizza emojis out there on social media one day, and uh, the rest is history, man. People started loving it, and pizza and snow, it's a beautiful combination. So hopefully I'll have time to go by Papa John's or Domino's on the way home, and they tomorrow, and they continue to increase the snowfall forecast, and it will just be that beautiful combination that we hope for, you man.
Yeah, pizza and snow is great. Everyone type pizza for Mitch in chat for me. Maybe we can manifest this one. We'll see. So that was Texas and Houston. Let's talk about Louisiana for a second, and then we'll go back to the east here. Another just like what in the world is happening kind of feeling whenever you look at this map. Going for 5 inches in Baton Rouge, about 4 in New Orleans, Slidell, Lafayette, Lake Charles in that 4 to 5 range. I really think right into here, just along I-10, maybe even a tad south of I-10, someone's going to get half a foot plus of snow, maybe half a foot, 8 inches in that part of Louisiana. And I don't know. I just don't even know what to say. It's just crazy. So that's the thought down here. And even look at southern Mississippi too. Southern Mississippi as well. It's crazy here too. Gulfport, 3 inches of snow. Pascagoula, 2 or 3 inches of snow. Hattiesburg, maybe even an inch or so. And another thing to add here, it is going to be such a fine cutoff on the northern end of this. Alexandria, Hattiesburg, Jackson, Meridian, Jasper, Texas, these areas in here, it could be boom or doom for you. It really could be that kind of scenario where it could be, a nice storm that you get a couple of inches, or you could really get not much at all. That's going to be the tough part of the forecast up that way. Mitch, what are your thoughts on this area?
Yeah, I've talked about this area a lot in my videos. Someone's going to get a brutal cutoff. I would argue that the footprint of snow. Appreciate the love of the pizza, guys. Yeah, we hoping we're gonna get it. But getting back on track here. The footprint of snow is going to be brutal in Louisiana and Mississippi. I keep mentioning the 20 corridor, and I think rightfully so. This reminds me of January 3rd, 2018. It was a brutal cutoff in the Carolinas of snow and no snow. I was on the very dry side, punching air, very upset. But this is going to be pretty brutal just north of Alexandria, just north of Hattiesburg. I think you guys will be fine, but once you get up the Jackson Meridian, uh, I don't. I guess what I'm saying is I keep mentioning the tilt. I don't think that it can get much further north in this area. I think once you get into Alabama, especially Georgia and the Carolinas, that's when you can dig it and then get it a little bit further north. Louisiana, Mississippi, not quite sure if this can make any dramatic shifts for you guys, but it could. It very well could. So not saying it ain't going to happen, but I just definitely say there's a less chance that this is going to get further north than what's modeled in this area. But I think always you can say, and Gerald can probably agree, it almost always is a little bit further north.
Yeah, I can think of very few storms that the dry air wins out. And I know that it's true and they do, but I think it's more often than not that the moisture overcomes the dry air. And I
Yeah.
think even last weekend is an example of that in like Columbia, where you had that tongue of moisture at the beginning come through. Granted, I mean, Columbia itself didn't get a lot. But you go over like Aiken, Newberry, they got what, like an inch of snow out of that first little thump
Yep.
or
They sure
something like
did.
that. Yeah. So, I mean, I generally speaking, the moisture tries to win out. So, all right, so that's that area. Let's go ahead and get back to the southeast and let's talk about the fun stuff here and let's look at some models. This is the latest NAM model. Let's go ahead, time it out for you, and get right into it and give it a second to load here. So same thinking, excuse me. By the way, it has been a very long month of January. Mitch, I think you can attest to this. So if I slip up words or I like just have a stroke right here on camera, don't call a paramedic. Just let me go out peacefully into the night because I'm exhausted. But So let's talk about the NAM now.
Yeah, don't
Mitch, are
die
you
on me,
tired
bro.
too? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I'll
I'm
try not to.
tired and sick. So I'm gonna send you some stuff while you talk, man, and you can share it if you want.
Yeah, we'll do. Just go ahead and send it to the chat. So the NAM here we go. Snow beginning in the western panhandle, Florida, southern Alabama. This is tomorrow afternoon. Another thing I want to talk about with this, folks, is out here in the coastal sections of North Carolina, South Carolina, we'll say Charleston points northbound. The NAM has been consistent on this, and I think it's onto something. It's got this little tongue of moisture trying to like sneak in here earlier in the afternoon through like Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, the Outer Banks. I think this could very much happen. It's again kind of one of the setups here I've been talking about is baroclinic instability. The atmosphere is kind of going to go bonkers in here with wanting to rise. So we get these little pieces of energy. It's a tiny short wave that maybe the models aren't picking up on that kind of moves through here. This could easily quickly overperform here. That's another reason why I think Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Wilmington, the Outer Banks, Jacksonville, North Carolina, areas like that, we're going to overperform on the precip values. Now, it could be ice, it could be sleet, it could be snow, it could be a mixed bag of all of them, but watch this little kind of front end energy in here. And I haven't talked about that really in my videos too much, just due to time constraints and all, but now that we're on live, yeah, watch that. That catches my attention pretty significantly there. But the real energy is still back into Louisiana and into Florida by Tuesday afternoon. It's the evening, though, that this is when things start to look fun. And you're watching in Columbia, you're watching in Charlotte, and you're thinking, okay, this is close, especially in Columbia. It's snowing there. Charlotte, I mean, talk about Mecklenburg County snow hole here. I mean, it could be snowing in Monroe, it could be snowing in Pineville, and then not a drop from the sky in Uptown. And the airport, unfortunately, is on the west side of the city. And I told somebody a couple days ago I thought we'd get at least an inch in Charlotte out of this, and that's when things were looking better. Not so much now, so that bet might not come to fruition. But if you're down here near Monroe, the US 74 corridor towards Wadesboro, Fayetteville, the NAM likes you, and I think I like you too. I think you could potentially get something out of this on a bit of an overperforming way. Would not be surprised to see that at all. And you can see the NAM really fills in here. Another thing to note with the NAM is the precipitation type. It's messy for our folks in Charleston, into Myrtle Beach, down into Savannah, and into coastal sections of Georgia. You see that pink and that purple? That's sleet and freezing rain mixing with the snow. Let's take a little sounding because I haven't done this. Let's take one over, let's do Charleston first. And let's see what it shows on the NAM. Well, assuming it wants to load. It might just not want to load. Let's see. Well, okay, this is close enough. This is kind of near Georgetown. Okay, here's the sounding, folks. Here's the problem. And I'll say the NAM nailed the temperature profiles last week. So let's lean on it a little bit. You see this right here? It's what we call warm nose of meteorology. That is a stout area of warm air. And climatologically speaking, going back to that makes sense for areas like this. That could turn what would be a nice, beautiful snow into this sounding, honestly, is probably more freezing rain, sleet than anything. That could turn into an icy mess in areas like Charleston, Myrtle Beach, and this will be right around rush hour commute tomorrow evening. So that could be a problem. Let me pause it here for a second. Mitch, what is your thought on precip type and kind of who's going to get what? And I'll take a look at everything you said.
Yeah, I would say that please, if you're, let's say, I would even say all the way back in Louisiana, southern Louisiana, I would say if you live along the Gulf coastline, but I would certainly say, and I kind of mentioned this a little bit ago in the live here. Um, if you live along the coastal areas, and I would just keep this in the back of your head, um, this potentially could be messed up by what Gerald just talked about. Because, I think I've said it, it's a civil war, right? The more that someone else wins in your state inland, the more that you potentially could lose with this. And it doesn't mean you're going to get less precipitation. It just means you're going to deal with a bit of a warm nose. So I could see a situation where if this ticks too far northwest and it's pouring snowing in Columbia, then maybe areas like Hilton Head, Savannah, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, especially down the Charleston Point South, could get a nasty icy mix. I think you would end the snow regardless and maybe start a snow, but you would certainly get your snow messed up by some sleet and freezing rain. So of course, you're not pulling for this to trend too far northwest. So it's a little bit of some some okay, this me versus you kind of deal if you really want to view it like that. And we hate to be like that, right? But yeah, just please be aware of that if you live along the coastal areas. Just don't get too hung up on this being all snow because I don't want anybody to be disappointed. Hopefully, we can all somehow end up happy with this.
Yeah, I totally agree. The concern though is this kind of warm nose. Also, Mitch, the GIF you sent me of the model trend. Is there any way you can send it as a video instead of a GIF? It's not wanting to load in another tab as a GIF or GIF, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes they have an option for like making a video instead of a. I don't know.
It does on my phone, but I don't know how to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it.
Did you
Basically,
post that by chance?
I did. Yep. Go to
Okay,
my
then let me do it
profile.
that way then. Let me just that might make it easier on me. Okay. Oh, Eric Webb has his map out now. That's fun.
Yeah, he does. Looks pretty good too.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so let's kind of interject here for a second. Let me show you this map from Mitch, everybody, and you'll be able to see hopefully um, this, and we'll take a look at it. So this is the Euro AI model. Let me move. Well, we'll keep it the other way. That's fine. So you can see the trend here on the model. And this is, again, Mitch's Instagram, or not Instagram, but Twitter rather. So if you want to follow him over there and you don't already, do so. You can also follow me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. We kind of post these maps all the time. So that's a great place to go for more kind of throughout the day updates. But look at the trend on the Euro AI model. See where it kind of starts, pause. That's a couple runs ago. And then you see that tick further north. Those are the newest model runs from the Euro AI. And let's pause it here. Mitch, if you get, 0.2 of an inch of precip in Colombia, that's probably a couple inches of snow.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. The snowfall ratios will be much higher than typical.
Sorry, I muted myself. Do you want to talk a little bit just in general about kind of the importance of QPF here with the ratios? Because I know a lot of people here looking at this map and they're thinking, all right, well, this doesn't look very impressive. But if you want to kind of add
Well,
to it a little bit, I'll let you do so.
well, for example, like Logan Chapman saying, 0.19, that's terrible. Well, yeah, I mean, you first see that it is, and that's why we try to explain this. Yeah, I mean, it is terrible. That's not. I mean, you can get down a summer thunderstorm in about 3 minutes, if that. But it's different when it's cold. Let's just go on and round it up to 2/10, 2/10 of an inch. So you got 2/10 of an inch of moisture. You got temperatures in the 20s, and it's snowing. So your ratio will change. And I'm just going to sum this up as simple as possible. Um, when it's snowing in colder temperatures, um, a tenth of an inch, 2/10 of an inch of moisture is going to add up to more snow. Maybe 2/10 of an inch of precipitation might only be like literally a half an inch of snow most of the time, maybe in the south, maybe. In this case, it's rare. That's what makes this even more rare. 2/10 of an inch of precipitation in this case, because it'll be snowing at such colder temperatures. Snowfall ratio is better. You're not getting much melting. I mean, you can get, I think, 2 to 3 inches of snow off something like that. So that's just an easy way to explain it. 10-to-1 ratio, um, is the technical term to it, and everything's defaulted by that. But I mean, Gerald, maybe you can give your opinion on this. I think the snowfall ratios could be upwards to 13-to-1, 15-to-1, maybe even higher in some cases.
Yeah, I could see easy 15-to-1 ratios out of this, y'all. And the reason for that is that dry air. It's kind of like a curse and a blessing in a way. Normally, if you think of any winter storm in the south, you think of these giant bowling ball flakes that are coming down and they're sticking to everything, but they're wet. They're kind of, struggle to accumulate significantly. This is going to be the opposite of that. The second these flakes come down, they're going to stick. And depending on what type of dendrite pattern they are, and basically that's just the shape of the flake, they should be pretty favorable to kind of stick on top of each other in a good way for snow lovers. And that's why, again, you see 0.19, you're thinking, well, that's not good. But another thing to note here, this is 0.19 right now. You go back, it was 0.07, then it was 0.08, then it was 0.14, now it's 0.19. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow it's a quarter of an inch of liquid equivalent. And if you get a 1 to 15 ratio out of that, I have my handy dandy calculator that I just grabbed. Let me do the math on that. So let's do 15 times 0.25. That would be 3 or 4 inches of snow potentially. Now, is that what's going to happen? Probably not, but you get the idea. The trend is your friend here, and I'll even zoom in here. Hopefully you can see my very quick little premature math there with the a good old handy calculus failing machine. But yeah, the snowfall ratios are going to be helpful. They're going to be good here. And that's what you want to see. Now you go further south down towards the coast and the ratios aren't going to be as good. So if you're seeing 0.58 in Charleston, that's probably not going to be half a foot of snow. However, and you know what? Let me go find the map really quickly, actually, that I drew a couple days ago. So let me put you all on this real quick and put you in timeout so you can continue to like the stream and all. Mitch, if you want to talk a little bit while I find this map, go for it.
Yeah, I would say the NAM is running right now, and it's already looking better. So
Nice.
it's
Love to
it's
see it.
it's definitely still adjusting. It's with that wave and digging. So I have a feeling that this will look even better. So we're going to keep the good trends going, which we need to do. You don't want them to stop. Um, but kind of reading through some things. Um, yeah, it's definitely looking better.
Awesome.
Even the old F3, the FV3
That
model.
one's been great.
It's always great. It's even looking a little bit better, and it was already good before. Um,
Yeah.
but I can't
Awesome.
100% confirm at the surface what the NAM's about to do because it's still on my end. Looks like it's still only through Tuesday morning, so we're about to see.
Gotcha. Well, this is a little map I put together a couple days ago, y'all, and unfortunately, it seems like the entire city of Columbia on Twitter found it because I had Gamecock picture after Gamecock picture liking it and retweeting it, which is always scary when you're forecasting snow in Columbia for them to find it. But now, again, this was a couple days ago I made this, and I'm only showing it to you now because I'm feeling a little bit more confident in it. Yesterday, I would have hid this from you and pretended I never said it. But this area that I have drawn, and maybe not quite as much up here into Raleigh and Virginia, I would maybe exit that out a little bit. But down here into Fayetteville and kind of this part that I have drawn, this is an area that is going to have high totals ratio-wise, or high ratios, excuse me. So if we overperform the precip, you have big boom potential here. I mean, you really do. This is where we could get from nothing to upwards of maybe 2 to 3 inches of snow in a best case scenario. Another reason for that is, let me go back to the latest HER here, Mitch, and let's talk about some frontogenesis for a second, because that's another thing that the models, I think, are going to be important to talk about if we can find it here. I have to go to the NAM instead of the HER. How far are you into the NAM right now?
Stuck at hour 15, so about Tuesday morning.
Okay, gotcha. It might honestly be the same on Tibbets. Sometimes Tibbets is about on track with the, yeah, well, it's only an hour or two behind on Tibbets, so it might not take too long to get there. So another kind of meteorology thing to talk about here is forcing in the atmosphere and kind of the mid-level advection. So this is the NAM from this afternoon. Maybe if we do 850 millibars, might be even better. Let's see.
Hey, Gerald.
Yeah.
For like 2 minutes to check on my wife and stuff. So give me 1 second.
Okay. Yeah, you're good. All right, so folks, this right here, what I'm showing you, while Mitch gets up, and he'll be back in a second. So don't leave on us. This is kind of low level and mid level warm air advection. You're thinking, all right, well, why is that important? Well, one, it's important for the warm nose, and two, it's important for where we're going to get lift. Now, this is the NAM from this afternoon. We're getting a new run in right now, but kind of analyzing the not old data, but slightly older data. You can see this area right in here, that's where we have that boom potential. I say potential meaning it's not guaranteed, but the potential is there. What's happening is you're getting this push of warm air right above our head, and that's creating even more lift, trying to overcome that convergence we talked about earlier. And this is where you could get a band of heavy snow to set up. Now, again, not to say that that will absolutely happen, but that is kind of the area that me and Mitch are monitoring for a bit of a boom scenario with this storm. And that could shift. That could go even a little bit further inland towards maybe Charlotte. Could come back towards the coast a little bit more to, closer to Charleston, Myrtle Beach. That'll be the question. But you kind of see these areas, and the HER even showing this one right here had big snow out of that kind of banding feature there. And then the NAM also having one up into the Carolinas. So it could be kind of a double dose boost of active snowy conditions due to the kind of mid-level stuff that we're seeing. And again, latest NAM is running right now, folks, so it should not be long, and we can kind of analyze that. And then we'll talk about totals and stuff, and then by that point, it might be about 3 in the morning if we keep talking too much. So, all right, well, again, we got a lot of people in here. Go ahead and remind us where you're watching from, what you're seeing out there. If you're in Louisiana or Texas and you're seeing anything right now, let us know. That would be great. Somebody says snow wasn't forecast for North Louisiana, but it's happening right now. Yeah, and again, folks, that's the thing. If this overperforms any out west, that could be a good sign for us in the east. That is something we will absolutely have to monitor here. And, oh yeah, the NAM's looking good, folks. I'll tell you, just looking at the first initial kind of stuff here coming in, it's looking pretty good. All right, Chris Smith with a $2 super chat says, does Asheville have a chance if it keeps inland? I think it's going to be one of those. So you're telling me there's a chance things, Chris? Probably not super high. It's going to take a big trend, but I wouldn't say it's impossible by any means. Definitely not impossible, just unlikely at this point. But thank you for the super chat. Me and Mitch will get some pizza.
All right, I'm back, buddy.
Welcome back, Mitch. We're looking at the NAM come in. So
You got
definitely
12. You got 1,200 people viewing, man. This is awesome. Well, just about.
I know this is. Yeah, we had it's gonna fluctuate a little bit, but I forget we had like on your stream about 800 or so during Helene, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. Might have been more than that even. But
oh man,
it's always,
the NAM,
always fun when we get together.
the NAM's coming in even better, buddy. I mean, it's a pretty big tick. It's a pretty big tick.
Nice.
So yeah, but it is showing those warm nose issues in the coast. Yeah. So not everybody's win here, but man, it is heck, it even shows the warm nose all the way up into Orangeburg. But not sure if it'll be that bad. But yeah, NAM's coming in hot.
Here's the thing, folks, too. We're talking about the warm nose. If you're in Charleston, and Myrtle Beach and Horry County, all the way down to Savannah, up into maybe even the Wilmington area, no matter what, these ticks northwest, I know you're punching air and you're thinking, okay, this is taking our snow away. Yes, but it's arguably making it an even more impactful winter storm as a whole because it's upping your QPF. So that's going to bring even more ice and sleet and snow.
Yeah, basically, it's going to turn into it's going to turn into a significant winter storm.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't decided yet, Mitch. I know you're going to be on your roof tomorrow, hopefully, if the NAM is right. I might take a trip down 77 or down US 74. I've got class 10 a.m. on Wednesday, but if we do get snow in Charlotte and we get Wednesday classes canceled, I might just full on go to the coast and cover this thing. I would love to do that, but I'm gonna need the university to help me out. So we'll see if we can get that lucky. 1,300 people watching. Folks, welcome in. If you're just joining us, let me go ahead and introduce myself for everyone new. My name's Gerald. I'm a meteorology student at UNC Charlotte. And yeah, welcome to the page. This is GMWeather. It's a super fun thing to do. I love it. It's a blast. And I couldn't be more grateful for all of y'all tuning in. Mitch as well is with me. So Mitch, if you want to say hi and introduce yourself for anyone who might be new, why the NAM keeps on ticking through.
Yeah, just Mitch West. I have no degree. I'm not going to school to be a meteorologist, and I just love the weather. So,
yeah. Well, I'll be honest. The degree doesn't matter. Honestly, I think a lot of the times personal experience is just as, if not more important.
Yeah,
than,
you know,
it's fancy little things on a piece of paper.
It's wild. It's like you read the comments on my channel, and they'll call me a meteorologist, and I'm just like, man, I appreciate the love, but I did not put in the work to become a meteorologist. I just love the weather, but I do appreciate people who call me that. But I'm technically not a meteorologist.
Well, it's all comes up to your definition of the word, I guess. If you look at the meteorologist as just somebody who forecasts the weather, then you're absolutely a meteorologist, and a pretty good one too. So we got a new super chat from, let's see, the Powells. Says, love your channel and watch Mitch's new video. Keep the greatest content rolling, guys, from Columbia, South Carolina. Yeah, if y'all haven't watched Mitch's videos, they are awesome. Like, he gets down into the stuff. I remember one day I woke up and I clicked on his video and I said, son of a gun, Mitch, 50 minutes? 50 minutes? I mean, that's impressive to just talk to a camera for 50 minutes. On a live stream, it's a little easier because I got people to communicate with. Mitch, he'll just start talking. That's how you know he's passionate. It's like a runaway train. It just doesn't stop.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it, guys. There's no other way to do it. Not a shot at any other channels because Gerald, I know yours is pretty long too. You do some pretty detailed stuff, but
yeah, I try to keep it between 20 and 30 because I think that's kind of the sweet spot for me, at least, on getting enough information to feel confident and also not being, so long.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how anybody does it in 8 to 12 minutes, man. But I guess people on TV do it in about like 60 seconds. So, I mean, heck.
I know. When you think of it that way, 10 minutes is a long time. But I just think some people just, again, not a bad thing by any means, just the algorithm. And I think 10 minutes might work a little bit better for some channels. But I will say there are people out there that have proven the 30-minute videos can do just as good view wise and stuff, as long as you get it to the right people. So, Chris Smith says, both of y'all are amazing. Thanks for all you do. Thanks again, Chris. We appreciate that so much. Mitch, if you get it, well, honestly, I'm probably only a couple hours behind you. I'm stuck at 15 now. Where are you at on the NAM?
I posted another GIF on Twitter, but the
Okay.
snowfall accumulations have not went all the way through yet. But it's definitely an
If
increase.
you've, as long as you've got the actual stuff or
Yeah.
the actual run. Sorry, I'm gonna do some behind the scenes stuff, so I'm gonna pause everyone for just a second. I still can't get over that snow map on the Her from North Florida. That's crazy. Yeah, anyone watching down in North Florida, I mean, the Her, you got to be stoked, I think. I don't know how you couldn't be stoked looking at it. All right. All right, yeah, so here's the trend on the NAM, everybody, from Mitch's side of things. I do it this way, maybe. That might work too, so I don't know. Yeah, here's the trend on the NAM, everyone, from Mitch West Twitter. Yeah, that's crazy, Mitch. You're right. That's got that warm nose all the way up to like orange, all the way up to I-95.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be that bad, but then again, it's the NAM gets a lot of hate, and there's a GIF out there somewhere with my name on it. But
Yeah, NAM giveth and the NAM taketh.
I would say that it does well sniffing out that warm nose, and it has busted a lot of forecasts by trying to warn people. But hopefully that does that all that I don't know what color you want to call that, man, like an orangish pink. Hopefully that
Call it
doesn't
peach.
verify. Yeah, hopefully it
Yeah, that
doesn't
kind of
verify
peachy
like
color.
that.
Yeah, I know some people in Myrtle Beach and Charleston that'll be punching air if that happens. For sure. I will say in areas like that, though, I think on the backside you'll change back to snow at least in a worst case scenario, something like this were to happen. But I mean, look at places like, I mean, this is a dream run for like Columbia, Florence. I mean, you're right in the heaviest of the snow without the mixing, kind of like I showed you on my map earlier. Like that's the sweet spot on this model run. Heck, even places like Charlotte, the southern upstate, ID5 South, trying to at least get some flakes fly. And again, the ground is so cold, if anything hits the ground, it's going to stick on the ground, and it will be on the ground for a couple of days at least. Heck, I don't know if you knew this, Mitch. In Charlotte, I was walking on campus on Friday, and there was still chunks of sleet and little like slippery places with freezing rain still on the concrete in places from the winter storm that happened a week prior. And it
Yeah,
wasn't
sleet.
even like, this air mass is even colder now. So
Yeah, sleet takes a long time to melt, man.
yeah, for sure. We had a super chat from, let's see, Spirit Wolf YouTube says, hey, Mitch and GM, what will it be in Virginia Beach? Virginia Beach, kind of like Norfolk we talked about earlier, I think, is a tough one because you're a little far north, but notice the NAM here still coming in better. I know it doesn't show anything on you yet, but this would set up shop for more snow in Virginia Beach and just areas of kind of southeastern Virginia in general. Anything? I guess we kind of already talked about that a little bit, Mitch, but anything you want to add to kind of southeast Virginia?
Yeah, you got boom potential, man. Um, that's all I can say. You definitely have some boom potential. Right now, I definitely could see some accumulating snow. Just don't know how much, man. It's kind of a boom scenario.
Yeah, and that's all. It's always tough to give a number because someone's going to say something right now that sounds crazy that's going to end up being right. But to have the guts to say that crazy thing is a whole nother, whole nother thing. So, all right,
Yeah.
NAM's still loading. I guess. Wow. Well, we're about. Let's see here. And this is a 3K NAM I'm showing Mitch, so it's gonna be a little different than the 12K which you sent. But yeah, getting in it. Okay, look at this, y'all. This is that tongue of moisture we're talking about. Last week, this is what happened in Columbia. We had something like this, a little tongue of moisture that kind of came out ahead of things. If this happens, someone's
Yeah.
gonna get surprised with some pizza. All right, someone's gonna
Yeah.
have to preheat the oven in Augusta, Columbia, areas like that.
The 3 km NAM brings. Yeah, holy smokes, man. That is a. Don't let us get excited on this live, man, because we
I
might.
know. Oof. Oh, look at
Um,
the trend. Oh, look at
holy,
the trend. That's so good.
holy smokes, man. It is for example, it is still pouring from what I'm seeing. I'm a tick in front of you, but it is still pouring snow on this run at about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and it's already snowed over 2.5 inches in Columbia. on this run. This is gonna get everybody in a frenzy right here, man. But
This is the good
what
stuff. This is why we do it. This is why we track to the last second.
but once again, I hate it screws the coast with sleet and freezing rain. I mean, it gives the coast a gigantic sleet storm, which we know that sleet totals are overdone on models. That's one thing that is impossible to forecast is sleet, guys. I mean, that's tough, but
Yeah. All right, so everyone kind of just check this out. This is a couple of runs ago from the NAM at this time. This will be 4 p.m. tomorrow. This is prime rush hour. Newer run, newer run, newer run, newest run. There's no denying the trend. Like that's not a small trend. And I always say this in my videos. I say a wobble's not a trend. Okay, so I try to be pretty conservative when I use the word trend, but this is multiple runs in a row shifting this to the north. Like that's not deniable at this point. And this is not the only model. The NAM is not the only model. And again, I will also add here, this is not a forecast. We're not saying this is exactly what radar is going to look like, but we're getting into a range where this is the trend, and the trend is always your friend. Okay, go ahead, rhyme it like you're Shakespeare or something. I don't know, but the trend is always your friend. And this is, if you're a snow lover in the Midlands of South Carolina, which funnily enough, we have someone who is, let's see, Carol-Ann, is that how you say that name? Maybe? Mitch, you see that one? The Carol-Ann Cash? Tell me if I'm saying your name wrong, Carolyn, but she says Midlands here. Could we lose snow and get ice? I would be shocked if the Midlands get ice, Mitch.
yeah,
What do you
I
think?
would agree. I would agree. Okay, I see her now. Yeah, hey Carolyn, I think that's how you say your name. That's a nice
Yeah,
name.
I might be adding the "an" a little too much. It might just be Carolyn, and I'm saying Carol-Ann because of the
But
way I'm reading it.
I would say that I don't think we have to worry about ice. I would tell you this: if all of a sudden Columbia has to worry about ice, then we have a
And Charlotte
gigantic
and Greenville Spartanburg are then getting it instead, and
yeah
that's completely different.
yeah we have a gigantic winter storm on our hands, and probably one of the biggest shifts in model history outside of 2000s that I've seen. So I think that we're in a sweet spot for snow. Maybe not sweet spot, but we're close. If it keeps ticking, yeah.
Oh
I
yeah, I'm
just
stuck at hour 21, and I can only
I
imagine what the next couple frames are going to
yeah,
show.
yeah, I'm tripping out a little bit. It's huge. If you wanna go jump on my Twitter again, I got it. But if you don't, cool. But I posted a little GIF again. Yeah, it just brings
Yeah,
us.
I'll
I
pull
mean,
that up.
it brings actually several inches of snow just south of Atlanta.
I'm about to see the funny side of Mitch here in a second whenever I pull up this tweet. This is
uh,
the rage side of Mitch. This is the side of Mitch when he he gets a little excited. He says, "Bro, we about to slip into a full blown rage on a Monday night." Everyone say
oh,
rage in the chat.
uh,
All 1,400 people. Let's get a rage in the chat. Yeah, so this is the trend. And again, folks, this is not the forecast loop. This isn't saying 1 hour here, here, here. No, this is a couple runs ago to the newest run. And notice the trend pushing it north. And yeah, you're right. That is nasty ice at the coast. But this would be a band of moderate snow in Columbia, Fayetteville, Florence, South Carolina would do good with this. Even Charlotte would at least get some light snow probably. Back into maybe like Newberry, maybe as far south as Lawrence, or as far north as Lawrence, South Carolina, and then back into the Augusta area. So yeah, that's looking good. And again, the trend might not stop here. Eric Webb, who's a great meteorologist, also went to UNC Charlotte, so I'll plug that here. He was talking that this might not really stop until the models can finally start depicting what's happening on current radar correctly, the trend that is, and they're still kind of lagging behind. I mean, I think, Mitch, I don't know if you want to compare the start of this NAM run to radar back out west, but I imagine it's probably still underdoing it at least a little bit.
yeah, I'll try to pull that up real quick.
Yeah, so that's it's getting exciting, folks. It's getting exciting for places that maybe it wasn't so exciting a little while ago. Let's see.
Oh yeah, it's
We're up to
terrible.
26
Yeah,
hours.
it's verifying terrible.
Yeah. Oh
What
wow. Yeah.
what's up? Yeah,
Woo!
it's what's up?
I got a couple more frames on my end, and woo!
There you go, baby.
Oh Lord, here she comes. um,
Control yourself, my guy.
yeah, this gets the snow line all the way up to 85, folks. I mean, that gets the think it's a snow line all the way up to 85. This will bring at least an hour or two of snow in Charlotte. I hope so. I hope so. Right around sunset tomorrow, an hour or two after. This would bring a pretty good little snow to Raleigh. Eastern North Carolina would get it good. And you kind of see the icing concerns there at the coast from Myrtle Beach all the way down to Charleston, Beaufort, and then a big ice down into South Georgia as well. Yeah, just so I can show them as well. Let's look at how this is currently initializing compared to actual radar and reports. So let's back it up. What time is it? It's like 9 p.m. So let's go to 9 p.m. So this is what the NAM thinks radar looks like right now, everybody. Okay, so take a look at this. And then let's go back to, let's refresh the current radar and see if we can get it up to date. Let me pull it up here. Oh, wow. I'm looking at current radar. Current radar is insane. Now, some of this probably isn't hitting the ground, folks, but still, even then, though, the stuff the NAM is showing and its projections, you could argue isn't hitting the ground either. So it's still underdoing it. Like, look at this. This is what current radar looks like. And then if I can go back to the NAM, and this is what the NAM thinks it should look like.
Gerald, I'll say this. Jack posted, did you just put plane data in the new NAM? And I think he may have been halfway joking. He said that to Jeremy, which is one of these guys that rides the airplanes into the missions into the Gulf. And Jeremy actually answered. He said, should be. I do believe the NAM ingest our data. So
nice.
So that's good.
Nice.
That's because we're getting new data and it's still ticking northwest. I mean, that's a pretty dramatic tick too. So
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, yeah. Lost for words. That's really good news for our snow lovers out here, especially in like the Midlands. I'm hoping my map I made a couple days ago ends up being a hell of a call. I'm hoping it does for you, Mitch, and for me, just so I can gain some credibility here. But yeah, that's exciting. Eddie says, follow both of you from Edenton, North Carolina. Keep up the good work. You guys have a bright future in the weather world. Thank you. And he's just talk to you later. All right, Eddie. Well, we appreciate that. That's super nice. We are going to be feasting on pizza, Mitch. And have all the pizza in the world.
Yeah, we appreciate all the love from you guys. We definitely do. You guys are what makes us be able to do what we do. So
almost there's like 1,500 people. I know, that's crazy.
1,500, man. Collab of the year. Thanks, Christopher. What's up, man?
Spirit Wolf says.
Yeah, go ahead. That's exactly what I was about to read. Go ahead, man.
Okay, you go ahead and read. I've been reading all of them. So.
Yeah, Spirit Wolf, Mitch, Gerald, are y'all surprised to see snow in Dallas right now? Absolutely not. No, I am not. There's the connection between some of the northern and southern stream right now. The Arctic air squeezes out all the moisture in the atmosphere, and I am not surprised one bit you're seeing snow in Dallas. The models are initializing
right now. Look at it filling in.
Yeah, let's see it.
Yeah, Imping is it's snowing good from Dallas all the way down to Houston. And even in like parts of Louisiana that weren't really like Alexandria and all, we talked about those areas, y'all are already snowing. So that's a good sign for you. Those places that we set on that kind of northern edge of the snow line, y'all are getting it pretty good out that way. Yeah, models are underdoing it for sure right now. Now, that doesn't always translate to what's going to happen tomorrow, but it's a really good sign. It's a really good sign. And you know what? I kind of want to get into the meteorology a little bit more here. Let's look at like the 800. Let's look at the temp advection map here on the NAM on the latest run. Now that we have it. So again, I showed y'all this map earlier. This was from the afternoon run. Now we have the evening run or the overnight run or whatever time you consider 9 p.m. And oof, yeah, Mitch, I don't know if this is about to load on your end. This is the good stuff. If you're in Columbia to Florence to just southeast of Charlotte, that could do it. Like you see this area of warm air advection. This is again right above our heads. This is bringing the boom. 5 booms for the NAM, everybody. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, that's what you want to see. If you want snow in Columbia, Augusta, Florence, along the I-20 corridor, that's a nice band of lift right above our heads. And so that's really gonna amp up that snow producing process.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
The
graph says Mitch got NAM'd.
The graph is now a buzzkill. It's like going kind of the other direction. So we tossed.
I don't know. The graph is a strange one because sometimes it's like weirdly right, and then other times it's so out to lunch that you just don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
Man, that is
I mean, it's
that is
still
a
not
fun map.
bad. It's funny the graph is now a little bit east of guidance compared to what we're seeing. So, but
Yeah,
man, what a
looking
just
at
phenomenal
yeah,
trends,
looking at
bro.
this is yeah, this is great. All right, so just so you know, we don't go all night without talking about snowfall totals. Let's quickly run through the NAM now it's all the way done loading, and then let's kind of break down our snow predictions a little bit, Mitch, because I don't want to. I know people obviously come here to talk about how much snow they're going to get. So here's the latest NAM. Again, kind of pick up where we left off. This is Tuesday evening. This is the boom potential. You see that snow as far up north as the upstate of South Carolina, Charlotte. Now, is that going to happen? Again, we can't say yes or no right now, but the trend is your friend. I'll draw the circle on an area that I really like these uptrending potentials. Let me draw it a little bit better than that for snow. Kind of between I-20 and I-95. If you live between I-20 and I-95 in the central part of South Carolina, I think you are in one of the better places to be right now, given the model trends. The coast, you're going to get a lot of frozen precipitation given the model trends. Now, will it be sleet, freezing rain, or snow? I think probably a bit of a mixed bag, at least maybe to start, and then we'll probably change back over to snow at the end. But you see that snow even getting into eastern North Carolina through Raleigh, the Outer Banks, southeast Virginia. We've had some people watch from there trying to get some snow picking up in that area here by Wednesday or by Tuesday evening, rather. And then you see those mixing problems at the coast. This could be a sleet fest in Charleston, Beaufort, Tybee Island, Hilton Head, maybe a sleet fest in Myrtle Beach, but could be all snow just inland up towards Little River, Conway, areas of the PD near Florence. I think could get a lot of snow, relatively speaking, you know, from what we thought maybe a day or two ago. So maybe, you know, 2-3 inches of snow out of this compared to a dusting, which might be or might have been your forecast a day or so ago. And then the eastern North Carolina Outer Banks have pretty good boom potential with this. And then you'll notice this kind of pulls out of here. And by the time we're getting to Wednesday morning, we're really just about done, folks. So it'll be quick hitting, but pretty potent, I think, from Tuesday afternoon and evening into the overnight, and then probably winding down by Wednesday morning. Mitch, did you want to add anything there while I go ahead and switch over to snow maps?
Gerald, I'll be completely honest with you, bro. I was typing something and then didn't hear a whole lot of what you said, man.
Oh, that is fine. That is fine. It's basically stuff we've already talked about anyway, so I think we'll be good. We'll move on to snow maps.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm
No, it's fine.
sorry, brother.
It's fine. I
I was
see how
reading
it is. I see how it is.
I was reading a discussion and just kind of zoomed out. I'm really bad about that. I'm sorry, buddy.
No, that's good. That's good. Well, that's why we luckily we can kind of tag team it and make it a little bit easier. So that's good. All right. My like live stream thing that shows the chat and all has kind of frozen up on me a little bit. So if we have any new super chats, you might have to read them out for me for a moment, Mitch.
That's cool. That's cool.
I think there might have been a couple I missed. We'll see. We'll see if we can get a load back. Aiden K says Niner Gang A. Hello, Aiden K. Wilmington gonna be sad now. Yeah, that's the one I was just reading. Go ahead, you can talk about that one, Mitch.
I wouldn't assume that, man. I wouldn't assume that. I would say that just gotta watch. I think you're going to get an impactful winter storm in Wilmington, though. I'm assuming you're talking about Wilmington, North Carolina. I think you'll see snow regardless at some point. Just don't know if it's going to be all snow.
Yeah, and either way, again, it's the trend is your enemy in areas like that if you're a snow lover. But if you just want to see winter weather in general, this ups the amount of winter weather you'll see, even if it is less snow and maybe more ice. Would be the kind of problem with that solution. All right, so what I got pulled up next to me, y'all, is the NWS forecast, and I'm going to use this for this area, and then we'll switch over to models plus the NWS by the time we get over to the Carolinas. So, all right, I think I got
just wanting to answer a super chat here for you, man. It says, how does this trend affect Atlanta and Union City, Georgia? I'll just speak on Atlanta as a whole. It would just bring more snow to you guys. Definitely, Atlanta. You're very far north of where you're not going to trend to any ice. So the more these trends continue to happen, the more snow you could get. I don't know how much, but the more we continue to get these trends, the more snow you'll get, Eric. But thanks for the super chat, buddy.
Yeah. Mitch, just to tell you the rage levels, my professor just texted me and he said new models seem to hit more west of snow with a eyeball emoji. So we're all raging in the southeast right now. Okay.
Oh man,
all the meteorologists are going.
They are. Some of them are keeping it internal than others. What's up, Josh?
Yeah.
If Mitch doesn't do the biggest launchie coming we ever heard, dang heard tomorrow. Oh, you got it, Josh. I got you covered, man. I got you covered. We probably gonna be goofy tomorrow, man. Appreciate you, Josh. I really
Yeah.
do.
If the trends continue, if y'all don't already follow us on Twitter/X, you're gonna wanna, because it's gonna be very entertaining. I can guarantee it's gonna be very entertaining tomorrow if the trends continue and they hold.
For
All right,
sure.
so talking snow totals here. Yeah, so South Alabama, Florida Panhandle. This is the forecast for the NWS, a nice area of 1 to 3 inches. I think that's about locked in right now. I don't think that that's going to change too terribly much. If anything, I would say this could go up a little bit. I think this is kind of the conservative to middle of the road forecast right into here, 1 to 3 inches, including Pensacola, Mobile, Monroeville, Dothan, maybe up as far north as Auburn, and Montgomery could even get an inch or two out of this in areas like that. I have a big super chat here. It says, is it over for Jackson, Mississippi? Could we still get accumulating snow? So, well, here's the forecast map for Jackson right on this one. NWS is about half an inch. Given how it's overperforming to the north already, I'd say that's probably about right. Maybe, well, I'll say dusting to an inch in Jackson. Mitch, what do you think? Because that was a pretty big super chat. So if you want to throw in your input as well.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that super chat. Yeah, Jackson is a tough one, man. Been talking about this a lot in my video, Jackson to Meridian. I think you guys could overachieve, but I do think there's going to be a nasty sharp cutoff, probably just south of 20. And I hope for you, for your sake, man, you're on the good side of this. But this is kind of a now thing, man, and just kind of have to watch. I would quit even looking at model guidance for you, man. I would just kind of look out to your west, get a good reliable radar, and it's for example, man, in Shreveport, Louisiana, it looks like it's snowing just south, and they weren't calling for any accumulation there. Um, so that maybe that would help you out a little bit.
Yeah, I think so, totally. All right, now let's move it into South Carolina and Georgia. This is the NWS forecast, and I think this is when Mitch and I are really going to kind of discuss a little bit here. So you already see the disagreement. I mean, look at right here. It goes from like 2 inches of snow to nothing within the span of a mile. That's the difference between the NWS offices. Here's NWS Charleston's area. I don't even know what it is. I just know by literally seeing the forecast here. I can outline their forecast area. All right, and then over here's probably like Jacksonville, I would say, or something like that. And then same thing with Atlanta. Here's Atlanta's NWS box. Their kind of forecast zone. Again, probably a little bit bigger than that, but you get the idea. And then here's like NWS Columbia. You see the segments, y'all, and you see the difference in the agreement here between the offices. So,
Well,
even the experts are kind of fighting it out a little bit. Yeah, you go ahead, Mitch, for sure.
I would say this has to be a little bit old that you're looking at because they've increased some of this. I'm not sure Pivotal Weather is updating very well on your end. For
Yeah, it
example,
might not be. If you have the
for
newer
example,
ones and you want to send them to me.
yeah, for example, in Columbia, they're going for about 8/10 of an inch of snow, and I know that don't sound like a lot, but I mean, in a situation like this, it probably is. But I'll send you the latest one for a couple different areas. But you can keep talking,
Okay.
and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, we got a couple new super chats here. Danny Marino says, what are the realistic odds this trends even further northwest and Charlotte gets 1 to 3 inches of snow? Danny, I live in Charlotte and I am rooting for it big time. The good news for Charlotte is whatever falls will stick. You will not have to worry about it not sticking. And it really depends, Danny, what side of the city you live on. If you live north up towards Lake Norman, we're still going to have some work to do. If you live south near Rock Hill, Pineville, or back if you drive on Independence towards Monroe, then I'd say it's actually not that bad of a chance you can get like an inch of snow out of this. 1 to 3 inches, that's maybe a little high. A dusting to 1, though, that likelihood is increasing pretty significantly, I would say. Carson says snow total throughout this week for Virginia Beach. Also, how we looking driving if wise. The people out here can't drive, let alone in ice. So I don't think you have to worry about ice in Virginia Beach. Snow out of this storm in Virginia Beach, maybe an inch or two, maybe even a little bit more than that. It's, again, one of those tough places that it's up and down in the models and in the forecast. After this, I would also watch later this week. There's another piece of energy that swings through. That could lead to maybe some winter weather in places in the eastern Carolinas and into Virginia Beach. Carson Good says, did it shift more up in South Carolina? I'm just joining back. Welcome back in, Carson. Yeah, it did. It shifted north a little bit, the latest models, the NAM specifically. is looking even better. So yeah, a lot of super chats in here. We appreciate that, y'all. I think we kissed about 1,700 people at once there for a second, so that was awesome. Again, if y'all haven't already, go ahead, like the stream, subscribe to my channel and Mitch's channel. His channel is linked in the description of this, and you can go ahead and click on there, hit subscribe. He's very close to 100,000, y'all. So go ahead, let's try to get him there. That would be awesome, and would love to do that for Mitch if we can. That would be cool.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. And one of my AirPods went dead on me, so I might not be as clear. I'm gonna let it charge for a minute, see what we
You
got.
sound just as good on my end, I think, so I won't worry about it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so okay, let's look at some model guidance, and I think I might oh yeah, I missed one more super chat that just came in. Bradley Pritchard says, when does NWS Cola update the warnings, advisories? Live in Lexington, South Carolina, praying for the boom. What is best case scenario? Mitch, I will defer that right to you because that is basically right your neck of the woods. So
Let me find that question real quick. I'm a little bit. What does it say? Yeah, okay. What does?
yeah, it's the newest one, just came
Yeah,
in.
Bradley. Yeah, I'm here in Lexington, man. So howdy, neighbor. Yeah, man. So I'm not. I'm gonna try to say this without trying to sound rude to the National Weather Service in Columbia, and I don't have anything against them. But I've actually had some local meteorologists reach out to me. Tim, actually, Gerald, and he said, what exactly is the National Weather Service out of Columbia doing? And I'm not quite sure. I don't know what they're waiting on. I would say we should definitely get a winter weather advisory, Bradley. I think we will, and I think it'll happen within the next several hours. A winter storm warning. I'm not sure about that. We're going to continue to have to get some. Let's see.
Do they have anything down towards like Orangeburg right now, or where's their cutoff right now in their watches and warnings?
Can you hear me, Gerald?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, you didn't cut out, so.
Yeah, so both my AirPods have died now. They died very fast. But
I'd
yeah,
argue
what I
you
was
sound
saying
maybe
was,
even a little bit better. So
okay, that's good. So yeah, Bradley, what I was saying was, man, is I think that the criteria, their confidence has to be in 2 inches of snow or more in the Midlands for them to issue a winter storm warning. So, I don't know if, I don't think their confidence is there for the Midlands for that, but I do think that they will definitely issue a winter weather advisory here shortly, and I'm very surprised they haven't already. So, hope that answers your question.
yeah, it's good stuff. And we had a couple more come in. Sorry, I'm multitasking here. I thought we did. I might have imagined that. Okay, no, I think we're up to date. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. I agree. I'm surprised they don't have anything. I would at least, because here's the safe thing that you could do, in my opinion, is go winter storm watch, and then you could always downgrade it to an advisory. You don't have to go warning from there. But I'd at least, I mean, do they even have like a special weather statement or anything, or I don't really know where they're
But
at
like I
right now on
mentioned,
that.
and unless I've heard differently, a winter weather watch to a winter weather advisory is considered an upgrade. Actually,
It is, yeah, yeah.
it is technically an upgrade. That's why the base is a winter storm watch, and they should have issued that in Columbia, I think, a few hours ago. A winter storm watch, and then you set the stage to whether you upgrade that to a warning or an advisory, because an advisory is an upgrade. But then again, I don't work in the National Weather Service for service, and I just don't. I feel like that's what Atlanta did. That's what Jackson, Mississippi did. They have been under winter storm watches for a while now, and that's what you do. That's kind of the tone setter, and then you upgrade it one way or the other based off what happens. And I'm not sure why Columbia has not, so it's very confusing to me.
Yeah, it's we'll see. We'll see. I think tomorrow morning the map might look a little different. So let's look at some different model guidance, and let me get it onto 0Z because we now have 0Z stuff in. And let's zoom back in on a local level. It would help if I logged back into Pivotal Weather. Oh, we're gonna have to completely redo the process. So yeah, let's take a look at different models and different snowfall totals in those models, Mitch, and see if we can kind of decipher what's to come here. If I can get to the right model suite, that would be helpful. Go to 48 hours out. Winter weather. Y'all seeing all of the behind the scenes stuff. So congratulations on that, I guess. Model, compare model loop. By the way, I didn't even know this was a thing until like a couple months ago. So I'm glad I hang around people smarter than me.
And that's 10 to
All right,
1
so
too. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Do you think we should do Kuchera instead, or?
Yes,
I guess
I
it doesn't
do,
hurt,
man.
yeah.
I do.
Yeah, okay. Because Kuchera's even higher is the thing, so that's why I went 10 to 1 first.
Yeah, I mean, I would just keep in mind for anybody tuning in on the southern extent of that, the snow ratios will probably be close to 10 to 1. But I mean, I would argue Atlanta to Augusta, Columbia, certainly going to be higher ratios. I mean, that's in my opinion.
Yeah. Joshua Brasher asking, do we think this could trend up into Shelby County, Alabama? Well, I don't know where in Alabama Shelby County is. So let me look that up, unless you happen to know, Mitch. But my Alabama geography is not quite that good.
I don't. I'm looking too. Looks like it's just south of
Just south of Birmingham. Yeah. Here's the thing about that, and you can already see it on this map, and I guess I can zoom out a little bit and we'll answer your question a little more in depth here. Let's do regional instead. So what do you kind of notice about the map, everybody? You notice that orientation thing Mitch was talking about. See how it's east to west here through Mississippi and Alabama, and then it curves up in more of a slanted pattern? That makes it tough for Birmingham. That makes it really tough for areas like Birmingham. That's why it's easier to get snow in Atlanta than Birmingham with this setup. Now, the good news is the models are already underdoing the precipitation, and we're seeing snow and ice further north in Louisiana and Texas than originally modeled. So, maybe even it overperforms there. But you're kind of in a little bit of a screw zone here, I would say. What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah. I really think. I think you're going to get some snow, man. I just don't know about, a couple inches, but we could be wrong. That's a tough area to forecast.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's do the fun thing, Mitch. Let's take a look at the latest models, snowfall for Georgia and South Carolina, and then we'll move up to North Carolina. All right, this is the NAM. This is the latest NAM run, hot off the press with the latest data in from the hurricane hunters, which, I guess we'll call them the winter storm hunters today. Yeah, this is crazy, Mitch, for Augusta, Columbia, Florence. Now, this is the boom potential. This is not the most likely scenario, but this is the boom. You get an area of, 2 to 5 inches of snow from Augusta to Columbia to Florence. This would feed families, as they say, Mitch. This would feed snow-starved families. But then you kind of get the shaft down at the coast. Savannah, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, you see nothing. You think, all right, well, it's going to be rain. No, it's going to be ice instead on this model if this were to happen. Now, again, that's not to say that this will happen. But that's kind of the thing here. But just a crazy swath of big snow there. And let's compare that to the latest HRRR and see how different they are. Big difference. The HRRR keeps it down south towards the coast. The NAM brings it inland. It's the HRRR. That's the NAM. So you can see why we're kind of running into huge model differences. We'll look at the GFS. I'd say the GFS is kind of a better in between. It's probably a little closer to the NAM maybe than the HRRR. And then the European, also kind of a good in between. So if you're watching in Columbia, for example, NAM gives you 2 inches, GFS gives you 1 inch, European gives you 1.5 inches, the HRRR gives you nothing. So what are your thoughts there, Mitch, on that map and kind of the differences between them and the models?
The HRRR model is verifying terrible in Texas. That's my take. I mean, all model guidance is probably verifying pretty bad, but the HRRR model is verifying. And I'm a fan of the HRRR model. I think you know that, but
yeah, me too. I love it.
But it's verifying awful in Texas right now. I mean, there's already been almost 1 inch of snow in I believe Tulsa. I think.
Really?
Yeah, there's Tulsa. There's like a 1/2 inch of snow right now. The radar is definitely more expansive than modeling, which is we shouldn't be surprised about that, Gerald. You know that. It happens almost
right,
every time.
Every time.
Yeah. But it's a bigger deal when you have so much cold air in place. It's not as big of a deal when temperatures are kind of farting around the mid 30s, low 30s, but when it's deep into the 20s, the upper teens, it's a huge deal. It causes massive issues. So.
Yeah, there are times in the spring, for example, folks, where your forecast might not have any rain, and then it ends up being like, you wake up and you're like, what's raining? How the heck did this happen? Well, these little last-second model changes happen all the time. It's just you notice them in the winter because it's the difference between absolutely nothing and 3 inches of snow. Like, you're looking at the difference in Columbia on the NAM. I'd say the NAM probably has maybe like 0.2 of an inch of QPF, Mitch-ish in Columbia.
Right.
and then the Her has like nothing. That's not a big difference. Think about a summertime storm. That's like a 3-minute difference in the longevity of the storm being over your house. If that was happen, you'd be like, okay, yeah, they got the forecast right. It rained, but it happens in the winter, and you have these huge snow ratios, and it's a difference from a city being shut down for 3 days and life as usual with just a cold wind. So that's the tough thing about meteorology. It's it kind of the faults come out at the worst possible times, I would say, and in the worst like scenarios in terms of impacts on people.
Somebody, Yo-Yo Pro John said, I don't like it when the temperatures are farting around.
Yeah,
Me neither,
I
man.
don't think
Me
any of us
neither.
do. I don't think
I need,
any of us do.
I need to get it back.
Uh, can't even win around here. They're either farting around too warm or they're farting around too cold. It's
Yeah,
like they're never
sure.
right. All right, so those are those models for Georgia, South Carolina. Let's take a look at North Carolina. Actually, no, let's go back really quickly, Mitch. And I'm going to put you on the spot, so get ready, and we're both going to risk our meteorology careers, okay? Let's
Okay.
do this right now for the world to see. All right, Mitch, Macon, Georgia. How much snow do you think is going to fall? You can give me a 1-inch range. So you could say 2 to 3 inches, or 0 to 1, or 1 to 2. What you got in Macon, Georgia?
Based off right now, I think 2 to 3 inches of solid snow. That's what I'm thinking.
I agree. I'll go down maybe a little bit. I'll say 1.5 to 2.5. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. All right. Augusta, what you got for Augusta, Mitch? 1-inch range. And you can tell us how confident or unconfident you are in the number you get, but if you have to give a number.
About 1.5 to 2.5 inches. I would say 1 to 2 inches in Augusta. 1 to 2 inches. And I might be being conservative. I would say my confidence is about medium on that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the coast a little bit. What do you think for Charleston?
Charleston. Ooh, that's a tough one, man. Ugh.
That is a tough one. The NAM scares me for Charleston.
Yeah,
Because
I
again,
think
I'll show you on the maps again. This is the NAM for Charleston. You see like nothing. You're thinking, where'd the winter storm go? It's still a winter storm. It's just sleet and ice instead. But you go to the Her, and you got like 4 inches of snow. Same thing for Myrtle Beach. Look at the difference between the models. This is the NAM. This is the Her.
Yeah. Do want to answer a super chat real quick. Gib Wilder says Sumter. When are they going to extend the advisories? I don't know, man. I don't. That's the thing that stinks. Is I don't have any inside loop to the National Weather Service in Columbia. It's all up to them. I don't Sumter. Yeah, I don't think you guys have an advisory, right? We're same boat as here in Columbia. I think they'll upgrade it to a winter weather advisory here in the coming hours. Winter storm warning. I don't know about that, but I definitely think you'll get a winter weather advisory by the time you wake up in the morning, at least.
Is Sumter south of Columbia or
It's pretty much due east.
due east? Okay. So it's kind of like between Florence and Columbia.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I gotta have to up on my South Carolina geography a little bit more than I even already have done. All right, so did you give a number for Charleston? I don't think you did yet. I think you're stalling here.
Y'all gonna hate this in Charleston, man, but I'm gonna say 1 inch of sloppy snow, and
Yeah.
and then maybe just a wintry mix. You're gonna get some sleet. You're gonna get a little freezing rain. And I might be dead wrong, guys. So if you're tuning in from around the Charleston area, it might be straight. It might be straight snow. I don't think it's gonna be straight snow, but I don't know. I don't think this is as clean of a storm as say 2018, January 3rd.
Yeah, I'll make a bold prediction. I think Florence and Orangeburg get more snow than their counterparts in Charleston and Myrtle Beach. That's
Yeah.
kind of Gerald's hot take. That's kind of different than the local maps and different than the NWS maps you see. But that's my hot take. I think this corridor between I-20 and like I-95, I think this is the place to be. I like the Frontogenesis band moving in, and I think that the NAM here could absolutely verify in here. All right, Mitch, give us your hometown, Columbia. What you got? And then we'll move up north towards North Carolina.
I'm gonna say about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of snow. That's what I'll say. And boom is 2.5 inches. Bust is about 1/2 inch. That's what I'll say right now.
I like that. I think that's good. I agree. I think I'll go boom in Columbia. I think Columbia, though, is one of those places that could be right along the fine line of heavy snow and not a lot of snow. Like if you're up in Irma with Chapin, it might be half an inch. But if you're down south near, I don't know, I can't think of many southern suburbs from Columbia off the top of my head right now. But if you're down south of the city, I think it could be more of maybe 2, even 3 inches of snow. And then the city itself, it might kind of be in that range. I'll tell you, I've had plenty of people that go to USC. That's kind of some friends that have messaged me and said, "How much snow are we getting?" And I always kind of the forecast has changed a little bit over the past couple of days. But like I said, I made that map a couple of days ago that showed my thought process there, and I'm kind of leaning back in that direction. So we'll see. All right, North Carolina. This is my stomping grounds currently. NAM for North Carolina shows a big winter storm in the Outer Banks. Shows half an inch in Charlotte, an inch in Raleigh. Even in the upstate, the NAM tries to get about half an inch in Greenville. That would really be a boom scenario. If Greenville, South Carolina can get half an inch of snow, that would be pretty impressive. And that's a really good omen for places like Columbia and Florence if Greenville ends up getting accumulating snowfall. The HER, yeah, completely different. NAM, HER. NAM, HER. And this is the difference, folks. In places like Charlotte and Raleigh, this is the difference from the next day being life as usual and businesses being closed. Like that's the difference here, and we're a day away. So you talk about, model fighting it out. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. The GFS, I think the GFS is a lot closer to the NAM. And to be fair, they kind of run on the same physics, so that makes sense. This is the GFS, everybody. And then the Euro, the Euro and GFS are a lot closer to the NAM, Mitch, than the HER.
Yeah. It's there's a huge difference. I think the HER model is just it's just gonna lag in the storm, man. I really think they are.
Yeah. Has the wrap made it out that far yet?
It's I think it's coming in range, but it's made ticks. I'll look at it here in a second. Let me see.
Okay. So that's kind of the range of possibilities in North Carolina. It is pretty sane. We're getting relatively close to 1,000 likes on the stream, everyone. So if you haven't already, go ahead and like it. Maybe share it with somebody. Go ahead, subscribe to, again, both of our channels if you haven't already. Subscribe to this one. And then Mitch Weather is my kind of co-anchor here tonight. Lucky to have him with us. So Virginia Whitley says, these trends for Claxton, Georgia are devastating. Devastating is a big word. Let's see. I imagine you're probably in the coast if you're considering it devastating. So let me see where Claxton, Georgia is. Yeah, so Claxton is just a little bit inland from Savannah. And we can go back to the other map. I wouldn't call it devastating at all, Virginia. I think, again, you're going to get more precip now is what it looks like. And even the NAM here in Claxton is kind of in this area. It's still about 2 inches. And the HER has you at even more than that. So I think Claxton might be an all right place to be, actually. I wouldn't lose too much sleep, Virginia. I think you'll get kind of everything still covered in white, which is not something you see very often in that part of Georgia in general. So I would be very excited with that.
Yeah, the wrap's coming in. But you have pivotal weather up, but
yeah.
it only goes 21 hours out, of course. But I would say it's coming in between a blend of the HER model and the NAM. It's definitely not as far west as some of this other model guidance, but the wrap is a very hit or miss model too. Very hit or miss. Sometimes it kills it, and then sometimes it just whiffs hard.
Kind of like our buddy the Graph.
Yep. Yeah,
this is the as far out as the wrap goes, everybody. And yeah, I'd say this is probably a pretty fair middle ground between the HER and the NAM. So
yeah.
All right, so let's make a couple bold predictions for North Carolina, Mitch. What you got in? Let's see. Let's pick a city here. What about Wilmington, North Carolina? We'll start in Wilmington. Again, this is the NAM I'm showing everybody here.
I think a good 2.5 inches of snow, give or take a half an inch. I think is about where I would say. I think you might mix a little bit. The further up the Carolina coastline you get, the less mixing you deal with. But yeah, I think at least a couple inches of snow in Wilmington.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, mate. Is the further up the coast you go, the less mixing. Areas like Wilmington, Jacksonville, North Carolina, you're gonna have less mixing problems than probably Myrtle Beach and Charleston do. So that is the good news. And if you hold on to the higher QPF, like they're kind of getting with the bump back inland, then you could maybe get the best of both worlds with more QPF and still not quite enough mixing to maybe ruin your day. So I agree. I think Wilmington is probably going to get a good 1 to 2 inches. But you go inland a little bit from here along the US 74 corridor, I think that could be an area of maybe 2 to 4 inches of snow. Would not shock me given the latest trends.
Yeah, I mean,
and Virginia Beach on this model, we've had a couple people talking there. NAM, pummels Virginia Beach. Again, no mixing there. But let's look at another model. The HER shows nothing. So again, this is the battle of the ages, which it always is. Excuse me. Sorry, that stroke I was talking about starting to show up.
yeah, the global models, really just put a nice swath of accumulating snow all the way up the Carolina coastline and the Georgia coastline of just anywhere from 2 to as much as 8 inches of snow, just depending on where you live. Of course, the higher totals near Outer Banks, but the Euro and the GFS is in the range of 4 to 5 inches for Wilmington, for example. So me and Gerald might be shooting a little low on that. I think we're just going to be hesitant on giving what these models show because it's tough to get snow on the coastline of the Southeast, man.
Yeah, it's it really is, and I don't think that can be I don't think that could be overestimated or underestimated. So it's just tough, and you also, like, as a weather enthusiast, you don't want to jinx it. You know, you get kind of scared to be like, yes, the dam's gonna happen.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, Mitch. Is there anything in particular you want to kind of talk about here or add, or what's on your mind with the storm?
Not really, man. I just, I think it's just gonna, we're gonna go to bed tonight. A lot of people, especially further east, Georgia, the Carolinas, and don't be surprised if you wake up and things are dramatically different. As far as more snow. I don't see us trending back the other way because we're just too close now. So we're kind of not in a range where we're going to have dramatic. I would say if this is what I'm meaning, if you're trending one way at this point, this far out from the storm, which is not far out, that's probably going to be the way that you end up. It ends up happening, or either you keep trending that way. So whichever direction you're heading is probably the direction you're heading. So just don't be surprised you wake up and all of a sudden maybe you go to bed and your county's only under a winter weather advisory and you wake up to a winter storm warning, or if your county's under nothing and then you wake up with an advisory or maybe even a winter storm warning. Don't be surprised at all. This is the way the storm is just going to work. It's very tough to forecast, and hopefully we continue to get these trends going in the right direction. If you're a winter weather fan, of course, not everybody likes winter weather. I always have to remember that.
Yeah,
that's about
yeah,
all I got to add, honestly, man. So
I don't know how, but we went over 2 hours, so I think I don't know what else we could really add that we that we didn't add. So yeah, folks, it's gonna be a fun night. Waking up tomorrow with the newest models. I'll have a new video. Mitch will have a new video. So again, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and Mitch's channel, Mitch West Weather. And let's try to get him to 100K subs. He is right on the doorstep. What are you at right now, Mitch?
Let's see. I'll look real quick. And definitely do appreciate that, guys. Yeah, it's been a heck of a journey, and I appreciate everybody, all the support. But I'm at 98.9, so about to hit 99. I'll probably hit that tonight. It'll be it'll be a tough task to get 100K tomorrow, get 1,000 subscribers in one day. But who knows? It doesn't matter to me as much as I lead on. It's been an awesome journey on my channel, and I appreciate all the support, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome to see Mitch get that play button, y'all. So if you haven't already, definitely go subscribe to his channel. He is super close. Alrighty, folks. Well, I think with that said, we're gonna hop off here. Again, I'll have a video tomorrow morning. Mitch will have a video tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow night we'll be in the thick of it, and hopefully we're all gonna get some good snow. And then we'll move on to whatever is next in the forecast. And I'll be honest, I think me and Mitch both can say we haven't really looked. We've been so focused on this one. So we'll definitely monitor to see what's next on the road. But y'all have a great one. Again, like the stream if you haven't. Do all those fun things. We really appreciate all the super chats and y'all tuning in tonight. This was a blast. And hopefully we'll do it again, Mitch.
Yeah, man. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah. Y'all. Bye.